What's up, everyone? Make sure you check out the West Network website at westwestnet.com. Here you can find amazing independent podcasts based in Aotearoa, covering everything from pop culture to mental health. Also, if you enjoy our content and want to support us, please consider clicking on the support button on the homepage of the website. We appreciate your patronage and look forward to delivering more thought-provoking and quality conversations.
West, y'all. All right. Jesse, welcome to the Back on 135 podcast. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Cameron.
No worries. Thanks for coming. You know what? When I first heard you on the radio last week, you came on 1ZB, you were talking to Heather, and it was all about, you were talking to her about taggers ruining your art around town. Because who you are, you're a street artist that is you hired by the Auckland Council to paint murals around the city. Is that right?
Sometimes.
Sometime?
All sorts of people hire me to do stuff. So yeah, I'm a commercial artist, freelancer, and street artist. Do stuff for free most of the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the difference between what you're saying, the commercial and the street artist?
So commercial is more about the product. Freelance is more about, usually I get to do what I want for someone and get paid to do it. Yeah. And then I guess just the street art is just doing what I want to do completely. No financial incentive involved. It's just making art for the sake of making the art.
Oh yeah. Because you've done a lot of work. Because I saw you on your Instagram. You're taking photos of all your work around the city and stuff like that. So you still doing it now? You still?
Yeah. Full time. This is all I really do. If I'm not getting paid to do it, I'll find a way to do it for free, and I do everything legal. I used to do it legally, and I made a decision after I got some really huge amount of charges for doing it illegally that I didn't want to be in prison, and I thought, I can. Now I'll do the same stuff but legally, and now I can be a voice for all the people that can't talk to the media or the police or the council or any of these government and say anything, because if they did, they get charged and go to court, and so all that stuff I can now actually engage with the council, for instance, and talk to them, and that's only because I'm not doing it illegally anymore.
So when you back then when you were doing it illegally and you had that thought that you couldn't do it, how did that process go with like from A to B? Like you made the decision. How did you? Because you had to get the council on board with what you're passionate about doing.
Yeah. How did
that start? Because like when you talk about, because when you think of the general public, they probably understand one thing: graffiti and tagging.
Yeah.
When it comes to street art, there's no thought of beautiful painting, a large beautiful painting sort of thing.
So I was door knocking to get permission, because that's the easiest way to get permission is to approach random, like shotgun approach heaps of different locations that have wall space that faces the public and ask permission. And I was really struggling. It was like I think it's around 6 years ago now. I was door knocking and I was like, fuck, this is hard. Why am I smashing my head up against this wall? And it's so hard to get yes. And because I was living overseas previously, and I was doing great overseas. I was making lots of money. I was basically a full-time artist, and
so you're doing street art overseas?
Yeah, well? And then, so I come back to New Zealand,
and that's
because all my family's here, and I was like, I don't want to like see my my nephews and nieces not knew who I am. So I was like, I'm going to relocate back to Auckland. And I came back and I was like, all right, let's do what I was doing overseas. So I went door knocking, didn't work. And I was like, why is this not working? So I did some like research, and I started looking into like, how much do they remove, like the illegal stuff? And it was like, okay, everything, like 100% of the illegal stuff gets removed. That's a little bit different to most cities around New Zealand don't do that. And they don't do that where I was working overseas. So I was like, okay, that's different. And then I was like, how about getting permission? How hard is it to actually get permission for like council walls? And it was like, this is fucking impossible. And then, so I was like, there's something wrong here that I'm not understanding completely. And then it sort of clicked that there was nowhere near as much murals and street art around Auckland as there was in these other major cities I'd visited. And I was like, maybe that's the reason why I'm struggling so hard to get yeses when I go door knocking, because people just don't see it in their everyday life. So how can they want something they don't know about?
And is it like a education thing, that is it the big difference between graffiti and murals? And when you say I'm going to paint your wall and mural, that's what they automatically.
I think so. I think
that's what they automatically think about.
You want that crap? You want to put that crap on my wall? Like I'm literally calling the council to get them to remove that stuff, and you're saying you're going to come do it. Like, and you want me to pay you to no? So, yeah, there's a bit of a problem there.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of examples of your kind of artwork overseas, right? The cities that have top areas in the town that have an exhibition of murals on walls. I know Philadelphia has a big part, a big street art scene.
Detroit has Miami Basil, where every year they have like mural artists and street artists and all sorts of graffiti artists and everything from all over the world. The best of the best come, and they have this massive festival, and all the buildings get painted with beautiful artwork, and it stays there. And then the next year they do it again next year. So now there's like full neighborhoods just completely covered in art. And you go to Melbourne, and there's the same thing, like full suburbs where every single street, every single fence, every single like wall, it's just mind blowing. And there's full laneways in Melbourne where it's totally legal. You can just paint there whenever you want. You just go there and paint. There's no permission process. You just go ham. And there's beautiful artwork everywhere. There's some tagging in these areas, but generally people have this massive incentive to do something good because other artists are going to paint over quick, easy done stuff. The good stuff gets left by the other artists, and the fast stuff usually gets painted over. That doesn't mean they don't have a massive tagging problem in Melbourne. Don't get me wrong. There's fucking so much tagging around. But
in Melbourne, they have that alleyway that all the hip hop guys do the music videos, and this skinny alleyway with there's just graffiti like on both sides, and it's real colourful.
Like when there's tagging everywhere, but then there's like heaps of art everywhere.
Yeah,
you don't really care so much about the tagging. But when all your walls are just white and grey and plain colours, and then you've got a tagging problem, then I think the tagging is way more noticeable. So it's almost like Auckland Council and the powers that be say like, we don't like tagging. And it's like, okay, let's think of how could you make a rule book that would get you the worst possible outcome for tagging, and they literally have that set of rules. So it's like for a bunch of people that say they don't like tagging, it's a bit strange to me that that's the rules they have set up, is that it's real hard to get permission, and they remove everything, even the good stuff. So
it seems like there's a thin line between what is a mural, what is graffiti, what is tagging. To the council, it means the same thing, or to the average Joe. Hey, that's why you're getting some pushback. At the start, maybe.
So there's legality. Do you have permission? Do you not have permission? Yep. And then there's street art, graffiti. They're basically the same thing. It's just one is words, one is not words. One is shapes that have become letters. The other one is letters that haven't become shapes yet. So there's like just It's just the same thing, man. It's like it's just paint on a wall, really. Like, and if it's illegal, they call it graffiti vandalism, even if it's bloody good. And if it's legal, they call it something else, usually like murals or street art, even if it's not very good. So it's that permission word. They have this like I like to think of a set of values, like in your society, in your community, what would be your hierarchy of values? And the people that have this sort of obsession with permission only, and they don't really look at any of the other values like culture, communication, civic pride, being able to communicate in a public space, creativity, mental health. There's all these other values we should be looking at rather than just like, do you have permission? Because there's so many areas that like don't look very nice. They're like uncared for, poorly maintained fences in public spaces, and you can't get permission to paint it. And if you did, you'd be arrested. And it's like, hey, I'm actually making this place like look way nicer. Why do you have a problem with this? Because you don't have permission.
Mm. So what you're describing is what that was kind of pushback you're getting at the very start when you're trying to get your work out there.
Yeah, still do.
You still, yeah.
But I guess even when I came back to New Zealand, I will still get some yeses, but just not as much I would have expected. And it's still kind of like that. I don't get as much work as I would like to, which it's a bit shit for your ego, I guess. But I can live with it. It's, you know, I'm very lucky compared to other people. I know guys who would love to get the amount of walls that I get. So I just got to think of it that way. Like, I'm pretty blessed, really. I do get a fair amount of work. I'm able to actually get by. Like, I'm not rich or anything, but I'm able to continue being a living artist who produces work and can keep doing that.
I was gonna say, like, this artwork came in my head, and it's on K Road, and it's in the corner. There's a car park. Oh, there's a car park in the corner of K Road and Ponsonby Road. Oh, just opposite the mobile.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
And there's a big brick wall, facing the car park.
It's like the Polynesian Panthers or something right now, I think.
Is it? No, because it changes every so often.
It changes.
Only reason why I say because I work around there, so I think every few months it changes. And it's a real interesting artwork that's there. Is that you?
That's not my spot. No.
Oh, okay.
I've got some other stuff up the road from there in like a vintage clothing store.
Oh yeah. Because you're saying how you have walls that you can paint on, given permission by the council. It sounds like, is it just a sector in the council that agree with street art and they understand that it can bring culture to the city? Is it just a small group of people in the council that you've connected with? I'm just trying to understand how you broke through those barriers.
I've got big walls that I've made friends with big landowners who own like heaps of property, and they give me quite a lot of walls. So that's one source of walls, is getting them off the private landowners.
Private, yeah.
But then council, I've got to understand how the permission process works, like how to actually this process called landowner approval. So you find a wall. Landowner approval covers Auckland Council walls. So this is parks, basically parks. So think of a park. You walk into a park and there's like a toilet block or a little wall that people can practice squash on or something. Some wall inside the park. And then you have to apply for landowner approval and you have to pay $580. And then that's your landowner approval application. And then that goes before the local board. And the local board has to approve your design. And then you get permission. And then now you got to find funding. And then you can go and paint the wall.
Oh.
So it's like pretty...
Yeah.
If you don't already have someone who's pretty keen to throw some thousands of dollars at you, is probably not going to get off the ground. And then... there's different process for like AT and water care and stuff like that. So
that's like the average person outside wants to get in, wants to painting something more. But with you working for the council, they just do it for free, do they?
Oh no, I have to go through that process.
Oh really?
Yeah, I haven't done many jobs with the council.
Oh,
Not
okay,
many,
yeah.
a few, but
Yeah.
more than like probably like four.
And the council won't fund you if you went through that process. It's just all on you.
So different parts of the council, there's like, so you've got the council's a massive animal, right? It's like this huge organization. They've got different parts of the council. So they've got like this beautification team. They've got the arts team. They've got different like parks department, and some of them have budget for different stuff. So I got like $2,000 for one spot, and then another one they've got like contractors who do jobs for council who also have big budgets, and you can go and work for them. Like if you approach the dump, like this is a council, the council owns the dump, but they have their own budget, so they can pay you to do a mural there. Or if you go and talk to the library, so different places, they're part of the council, but whereas if you go and ask about a park wall, everyone's in the same, like there's no funding there. You've got to figure out how am I get the funding for this, which is why that sort of working that sort of space is way harder, and that's where I'd like to see them sort of loosen things up and first just reduce that fee. That's like $580. Who can afford that? Like that's like most of the budget for a small mural. That's your whole money. Like all the paint, everything, the labor. I could do a whole mural for $580, and then they want to ask me for that, and that's not even a guarantee that they're going to say yes. They might say no. And
Oh right, because it's like you're applying, yeah.
Yeah,
Gonna pay for-
I've applied, and they've said no, and I was like, oh, okay, oh, why? How is this going to work? I can't do this. Like I'm $580.
You mentioned before that it's harder in Auckland than the rest of New Zealand. The rest of New Zealand have the same sort of process? Obviously not, but the fee. And is it easier to get walls done like in Wellington, say, or Hamilton?
Oh, so let's talk about actually. I mean, I don't live in those cities, so I'm not the expert. But I live in Auckland, and we've got $4 million per year being spent on people driving around in vans, eradicating everything. Like you do a tag, it's gone. You do a nicer piece of graffiti, like a multicolour piece, gone. You do a picture of people, like a mural, like a piece of artwork, gone. You do a kid's play path, like a game on the street for kids to play, gone. Like everything. That's Auckland. Whereas you go to Christchurch, that's clearly not going on there. I haven't done enough research to really understand what the rules are down there, but it's clearly not the same. Like you go down there and you see stuff staying up, that's good. And it's like they don't have the same rules, clearly. And Wellington and Whangarei and then you go to like other cities around like Australia and stuff. It's like, nah, this is different. There's something different here.
$4 million is a lot of money, a lot of taxpayers' money, you know, a lot of ratepayers' money going in just to take some tags off. And it's interesting that what you're doing would probably neglect some of the area. Like if there's more murals out there, I think that's what you talked about in the news article I read. You know, if there's more of you guys out there painting murals, painting walls all over the city, there'll be less tagging around, or less opportunity for the money spent on taking tags away.
Well, let's say you got a person who would be out illegally tagging. If you can provide somewhere where that person can legally go and paint, they only have 24 hours in a day. If they're painting there legally, they're not out tagging. Like, I just think it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, if there's more beautiful artwork out there, more people are going to want more beautiful artwork, and this is going to have a carry-on effect, and the industry will thrive. More street artists will be employed, more people will want this done, and people's attitudes towards public art and public spaces will soften, and we will have a more beautiful city. We will get more, like, when you drive down any main road in Auckland, just think about, like, how many murals do you see? How many big fences, like people's full fence, painted with artwork? How often do you actually see that? It's almost zero, like almost zero. which is really strange. Like, you go to Australia and you count, you'll see them everywhere. Like, every major city in Australia, the suburbs have artwork on people's front fences. It's not super common, but it's way more common than here. It's quite, I think that was the thing that really shocked me when I came back to Auckland, was like, where is the art? Like, there's just this sort of, it feels like sort of sad to me. Like,
Yeah.
It's sort of like,
So you mentioned before you lived in Australia. You were doing street art there,
yeah,
obviously. And
yeah.
so how good was that? Like, how much freedom did you have over there? When you think back about your Melbourne days, your Australia days, and the work you did over there, like, was there must have been competition, like a lot of.
Yeah, there was competition, but I was traveling around the country, getting paid to climb up on top buildings and paint people's second story of their buildings and inside office blocks, and I did one for Google and different like furniture companies and bars and restaurants and just private individuals' houses and just everything you can think of, kindergarten, dementia ward, like all of it. And then I've come back here and it's a little bit different, and I'm not saying it's completely terrible in Auckland. Like, you still can make it work, but we have some improvements to be made. Yeah, definitely. There's some work to be done.
I was thinking, when I walk around town, you know what I see? Cycle lanes. A whole bunch of cycle lanes.
There's some paint on the ground.
So that's what I see.
There's some street art.
Nah, man, because it's funny that when you just mentioned you have to climb up top to paint, like, I'm thinking, like, because taggers isn't like the thing for them to try to tag on the most hardest place to tag. Like, when I drive on the motorway and I see some tagging on the fucking street signs, any of the big signs on the motorway above, I'm like, how the hell did they get up there? Like, isn't that the point for taggers to, like, try to get to the most hardest place to get to? Like, he must have been daggling. Two people going up there. Some probably holding his feet up top.
Yeah.
And he's probably doing his tag.
It's like if the removal was zero, like, let's say they got rid of nothing.
Yep.
You wouldn't really bother climbing up that high. You just do it at ground level because it will stay up the same amount of time, right? It's like, let's say the average tag stayed up for like 6 months.
Right.
You do a tag, stays up for 6 months. Why would you climb up somewhere dangerous to do that tag? Like, you just do it on ground level. Everyone see it anyway.
So it's more them trying to leave it there as long as they can.
Oh, yeah. These guys
rather
are
than the hardest place.
putting their lives at risk, doing the most dangerous things, doing it in a really hard-to-reach location where it costs more for it to be removed by the council because they're trying to get it to stay up. Because it's like a protest. It's like, stop destroying my art. Stop destroying our culture. Let us exist. That's kind of what they're saying. They're saying, no, you will not delete us. No, we will find some way to exist. We will use the most toxic pigment that eats through your paint. Like, you can get paints that they paint over the top of it, and you come back an hour later, and it's popped back on top. It's like, it come back through. Like, you mix brake fluid with your ink, and it'll float back through the paint.
Oh, wow.
So there's, like, all these different strategies. I used to carry around a sports bag with the bottom of it cut out, and I'd have like a glue bottle full of paint, and I'd paint on the ground, carrying around my sports bag in town. Or you get a fire extinguisher, and you tip out all the water, and then you refill it with paint and a bit of water, and then you repressurize it, and it's like a bazooka of paint. And you see this on the side of the motorway around Auckland sometimes, like people using these. It's very, very cool to shoot one of these off, man.
I've yet to see someone on the motorway doing some spray paint. Like, I always wanted to catch someone doing it, because it's like, I'm like, what? Bloody hell, how did they get way up there? But that's a good point you made, because I didn't think of that. And when Heather asked you about it, you didn't even tell her what you're saying now. So.
Yeah, I didn't think of it.
Because I thought that too. I thought, doesn't they? Yeah. But that's good you cleared that up, because I didn't thought of that. That's a good point.
Another surprising thing that most people wouldn't think is that when you see tags done, like if you saw a lot of these taggers, like their best artwork, your mind would be blown. It's not like these guys are talentless fucks. They're really creative and they can make beautiful artwork. So that's what I think a lot of people don't get, is that when you see a tag on the side of the road, you're seeing 5 seconds of effort. You're not seeing 10 hours. Like if you gave that same person 10 hours, most people would probably be cool with that artwork staying, even if it was their building. But they don't get to see the 10-hour work. They get to see the 5-minute, and then that gets painted over again, and we're back to square one. It's like a reset. It's like no one gets to evolve to the next step because it's all just getting reset every single day.
Yeah.
Like Groundhog Day. That's what graffiti Groundhog Day. That's what Auckland's in right now. It's like real fucked up.
For $4 million worth of graffiti Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But in Australia, how do they do it? Do you know how they do it in you were in Melbourne most of the time?
In Brisbane,
yeah,
you get if you don't clean the graffiti off your fence, they send the person to clean it, and then they send you a fine. Like you have to pay for it. Whereas in Auckland, you can just call them. Like if your front fence got tagged right now, in a residential or a small business, you can call up the council and they'll send out the crew to come paint it for free. Like sorted. You don't have to do anything. Whereas in other major cities around the world, this isn't the case. Like
Australia, you have to pay it. You have to pay the fee.
In Brisbane, CB, like in the inner city, you had to pay it, and then I'm not sure what it was like outside the major city, outside the inner city. But what that did was it created an incentive for, if your building is repeatedly getting tagged, it creates an incentive for you to come up with some creative way to stop the tagging happening, i.e. getting street artists to do a mural.
Is that what the councils offer?
Oh no, the businesses would be like, the business now has an incentive to like reach out to artists and engage with them, and now you've got art on the wall. And then because you've got art on that wall, now the business across the road sees that and goes, I want that. So then they get it. And then next thing you know, you've got like every second business in the community has street art on their walls, and you've got like a thriving art scene, and it's good for commerce, it's good for tourism. People are taking Instagram photos outside your business because you've got beautiful art there. People are hashtagging Auckland, they're hashtagging the suburb, hashtag Ponsonby, like in front of the photo. And then you've got like people slowing down to look at the art. So they're like looking at the art, and then they're noticing the coffee, and they're like, oh, I'll get a coffee. And they sit there and they look at the art, and they're like, oh, this place is so nice. So it's like it all has this onflow of creating more culture. It's unique local culture too. So you're supporting local artists, not just like Netflix or what, like not just international stuff. It's like really local because you get the local artists being able to do stuff. So I just think it's really short-sighted not to calculate all that in when they make the decision to go out and remove everything.
Yeah, it's a good way to, like you said, it's a good way, especially for tourists and that, and for people to look at something,
Like Christchurch, after the earthquake happened, you lost like all these buildings in the CBD, like they were leveled, right? They had to like bulldoze them because they were structurally unsafe. So they knocked that building down, and then you've got like a big hole in between like 4 buildings. You've got this big hole where a building used to be, and you've got the sides of those buildings, and it's just these raw concrete side of a building. So then street artists and graffiti artists came in and started filling all those holes, and Christchurch didn't remove it. They left it. And it brought the city back to life.
Was that a campaign for the Christchurch Council to do that? Like, have that happen?
I know that they did engage with artists, but they also, they didn't just aggressively remove everything. That was a big part of it, was the fact that they'd left it. They left stuff up.
Yeah, it's that kind of thinking that we need. The Auckland needs. It sounds like,
It's like I can call it looking a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like if someone's giving you something for free, and then they're like, oh, I don't really like it, it's not good enough. It's like, but you didn't pay shit for it. It just showed up on your wall. How about being a little bit more grateful? Like, For all you know, that could be the next like $1 billion artist, but he's just started. Like that guy might that painting on your building in 100 years might be priceless artifact, and you're just gonna destroy it. Like it's crazy. Like that's how I think about it. Like they're literally destroying culture in the nursery. Like this is the beginning of an emergent culture that in hundreds and hundreds of years from now they'll look back and go, why did we do that? That was so whack. Like we just destroyed it all. Like imagine the Māori culture when it was first being created. Like this first people carving like a koru shape, and he's like, oh, the first one. And then the village elder comes out and just goes, chuck it in the fire. And
it's gone forever. Yeah,
it's gone forever. And
the opportunity's gone.
Yeah, it's like just real short-sighted. Like, but you're reducing property value of my pa. Your tagging is destroying the property value of our neighborhood. And it's like, but maybe your real estate agent's a liar. maybe that's true. I don't know. I think when a real estate agent tells you that your property value's gone down because your fence has been tagged, the criminal is the real estate agent, not the tagger.
All right.
Because your property didn't lose any value. I mean, cleaners will tell you aggressive cleaning is bad for things. You don't want to clean things too much. And if you paint things, you protect them, and they last longer. So by a tagger painting your fence, maybe he's increasing your property value. Maybe he's like actually protecting your fence and making it not rot as fast. If you thought of it that way, maybe it wouldn't, like, you know, I just think there needs to be a little bit more like, not just we're on the bottom rung of the ladder with this thing, and it's like people need to just think a bit more like, maybe I should be thinking about why is that person tagging on my fence? Rather than what he's done, think like, that's someone's son, that's someone's brother, that's someone's sister. Why are they tagging on my fence? Maybe they're having a hard day. Maybe, you know, like, if they had a bit more human approach, I don't think they'd be so like. There was this guy, Cameron Pehima, and he got stabbed, like killed for going out tagging one night. It's like 15 years old. Rest in peace. So like, I just don't want to see that sort of shit happening again. I don't want to see one of these guys that's out painting these motorway overpasses fall to his death or something like that. That's the sort of thing that I just really freaks me out.
I think it's like, you know, hearing what your story or hearing what you're saying is like, it's a culture, and you can't stop the culture, you know. And no matter how much they try with their ideas, like you said it perfectly. It's a tag on the fence. It's automatically negative. Well, you just turn that into a positive.
Yeah.
And no one ever sees that.
No.
No one will understand unless they understand the culture. So do you think the thing is to educate the culture to the council, to the people? Or because you know how I said the examples around the world, like maybe they just don't know. Like, you know, when you talked about people coming to a place because of the artwork, you know, people converge to see the artwork, right?
Builds a community.
It builds a community, exactly. I remember I was watching the show on Netflix. It was about something places around the world. I think it's in Portland, in the States. But there's like a wall where people put their chewing gum, stick their chewing gum, and it's just people stick their chewing gum on this wall for the past 10 years, and it's just left there.
Yeah,
you just come. It's a thing to do. Tourists, if you have a gum, you stick it on the wall.
And there's that bridge in France where it's like lovers will put they'll lock a padlock onto the bridge, and now the bridge is like covered in padlocks. There's like
see that kind of thing.
But is that vandalism?
I don't think so.
Well, I think Auckland Council would say that's vandalism, and they'd cut off every single padlock.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, that or they call it illegal dumping or something, like, you know.
Yeah. But it's that kind of thing. Like, we're not too open-minded. They're not open-minded to see, you know, what the opportunities that it can bring. You know, they're just old people, I reckon. Just old people that just too old school.
Yeah, maybe.
But the $4 million spent on cleaning up the tags, That is bad, man. That is sad because that is a lot of money. What can go into other things? And if what you're saying, I believe what you're saying. If you create a culture, a mural, or street art culture, how much of that money will be cut in half, or it won't be $4 million if there was a street art culture around the city.
Even
and if the council did give a place for the taggers to go tag,
even if it was still 4 million, my guarantee is that you'd have a more beautiful city if they just made it that there was places for people to paint legally. And this is sort of like I'm just sneaky about this, but I also know that if they provided places for people to paint, eventually Aucklanders wouldn't want that $4 million being spent anymore. They'd be like, we like this stuff. Like if you provided, let's say you provided one big wall, like I'm talking like 50 to 100 meters long, in every, like, let's say 50 of them or 100 of them around Auckland, within a few years, those walls would be covered in the most beautiful artwork, and everyone would be like, why are you spending $4 million on destroying these guys' artwork anymore? Like, what's that? Like,
is that happening right now? Like with the murals you've done and other people have done, like the example I put on that car park on Carroll.
Yeah.
Like that will never be. There will always be painting there, right? As long as there's no building.
Yeah.
They don't build a building.
Eventually,
like that car park
there'll probably be a building there.
Yeah. But see, I look at that wall and it changes the artwork every so often.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's nice. It's nice.
That's a private landowner.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'd say.
If you have a park and you have private landowners surrounding the park and they have big walls facing the park,
Yeah.
did the council get angry at that kind of thing? Do you have to apply for resource consent or something?
So I called the council and I said, "Hey, I've located this alleyway, and I've spoken to the landowners." Well, actually, first I said, "Hey, I've located this alleyway. I'd like to get permission to paint the fences on either side of the alleyway." So I called the council, asked them, and they said that they're not really sure. And then I was like, "Okay, well, can you figure that out?"
Yes or no?
We tried to figure it out. It took like months. And then eventually I got sick of it, and I was like, "Look, just give me the straight answer. Can you grant me permission or not?" And they said, "Oh, we can't give you permission. You have to ask the homeowners." So I went and asked the homeowners, and then so I got signed permission from these homeowners to paint their fence on the outside facing the alleyway. And then I spent like 40 hours painting it, and then I came back the next week. It's all gone.
Really?
And I got a video of this dude talking to the removalists, saying "Why are you painting over it?" And they're like, "Because it's done illegally. We got a complaint from a concerned member of the public." So they just buff it.
So they got the wires crossed. The communication lines are crossed somewhere. Like you tell these guys and they give permission, but then when the complaint goes in for another department, they send the guys to paint over it, kind of thing.
So the council told me, this is just people at council, right? They told me that it was, you have to ask permission from the homeowner. Then it changed to, nah, you've got to get landowner approval from the council itself. And then this year, they changed the rule again to now you need both. You need permission from the landowner, the homeowner, and the council. So you got to pay $580. You got to go through the local board process. You got to submit your design, and you've got to get permission from the homeowner. So it's like just, if I wanted to put an advertisement up on their fence selling water blasting services, I wouldn't have to ask anyone. But if I want to paint art on the fence, I have to go through this whole. If I wanted to just paint the fence the same color it is currently, but make it look nicer, go from ugly, messy brown with patchy or whatever,
it's bright yellow,
and or even just brown again. But if you maybe change the color, I think you wouldn't have to ask for anything. You just paint the fence. Whereas they're trying to. I don't even know if they're right though. That's the only way to really challenge this would be to paint a big, beautiful mural on someone's fence with permission, then get someone else to call up and complain and see what happens. Get it removed, and then take them to like civil court as a. So it's a mess that's the way that you'd have to find out, because you can't get a real solid answer out of them.
Well, it seems to me this whole street art thing is new to them, and they haven't figured it out. They haven't got anything written down in their books about what the process is of street art, and they're just taking a page off another process and adding your one in, but it doesn't even.
They do have a graffiti removal policy, and then they've got
yeah, but only for people that don't get approval. But yours did get approved.
Yeah,
so,
but then you've got like
so you're liable to sue them, right?
Then it falls into property law. So now you've got to define like whose is the fence.
But you got the permission from the owners.
Yeah, but there's boundary laws. So there's this weird law about how boundaries work. Like if you have a boundary fence between you and your neighbor, and you own one side and they own the other, it's not like that. It's like you both own the asset. So
the council owns the other side.
Well, I mean,
it's the alleyway side.
If you and your neighbor have a fence between you, and you want to paint your side of your fence,
you can
with them, and they didn't like what you painted on it, and they climbed over the fence and painted it's kind of crazy. It's like, really, like is this how we're gonna treat people? Like
it's almost like the line is drawing.
I think the line should be, why do you care? And fuck off. Like just leave it there. It's just too much controlling, man. That's the thing. It's all just too controlling. It's like, yeah.
You need someone in the council with a vision for this.
I think so.
You need to work for the council and change everything.
I think I need to go and get myself elected. That was the other angle. Like maybe.
Why not? Why not? You believe in something. You're passionate in something so much. It's not like you hate the city. You love the city. That's why you want to make it better.
I do. I really do.
And that's like me, man, because I love the city too. But there's things that just I get pissed off at. Like, I read the paper like in the news a few weeks ago. We were down. New Zealand was down like in the worst places to come visit.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
I'm not surprised.
I believe that because, man, there's nothing open late. You can't go. There's entertainment's like nothing. There's no entertainment out west. You can't do anything out west.
Can't paint a wall.
You can't paint a wall. But for me, it's entertainment, and there's nothing.
There's actually a few spots to go painting out west, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
There's Corbin Art Estate.
And, yeah.
Avondale Art Park. So we're kind of lucky out here. We got 2 spots. Whereas go to North Shore, there's like nowhere, man.
So what's it like out in Corbin's Art Estate? Art Estate, is that just canvases you go in?
Yeah, so like full legal walls. You can just go and paint there whenever you want. Anyone can go. So it's just open to the public.
And whose idea is that? Whose sort of baby is that? Project is that to let that happen?
So it's one of the oldest like established graph crews in New Zealand, and they partnered with Corbin Art Estate a while ago and set that up. It was like TMD. Yeah.
So how much recognition could they get for the rest of the city?
I'm not sure. I've spoken to these guys about it. I've spoken to many other street artists in Auckland about this issue. That's another sort of area where it's interesting to talk about. Like, you talk to other street artists about this issue, and not all of them agree. A lot of them won't even talk about it. But the ones that do agree, they don't want to. Like, how do I explain it? So, let's say you want to paint a wall, right? And you want to be, or not just a wall, you want to be like a street artist. You want to be able to paint art all the time. Who is your clients? Like, who is providing the money for this? Like, business associations is one big piece of the puzzle. Do you know what a business association is?
Is it like a conglomerate of different businesses that just help each other out?
Yeah. But it's run by someone. There's a business association manager. So you've got to get in that person's good graces, and then
it'll just filter down to the rest of
they will sort of go out and do the legwork for you. They'll find you the wall, or if you've found the wall, they'll coordinate with the landowner. They'll sort out funding, and then they'll be your patron and pay you to create a piece of artwork in that community.
Right. So they just do all the admin.
Yeah.
And you just turn up and paint.
And then, like, other artists get work through council and through iwi, and when a new development's going on, like Auckland Transport's doing something, or there's this City Rail Link project, they're using street artists to paint the hoardings and stuff.
So again, all these different organizations and associations, they must have someone. The middleman is the guy with the vision. That likes what you guys do, knows what you guys offer. Yeah. And knows the power of what it brings.
Yeah. So there's like little pockets of where it's going, but it's always on like the edge. It's like the toilet block sort of, it's like like when do we get the whole building, man? Come on, like
no one sees it, sort of thing.
Give us the underpass, give us the whole bridge. Like I'm trying to get the pillars of the harbour bridge on the North Shore side done with murals of significant New Zealanders. I want to do like heaps of them.
That's the concrete.
Yeah, the big concrete pillars. Bro, they're so ugly, man. You go to like Sulphur Beach, North Shore side. It's like a dump, dude. It's like this is the best view in the country. Like you can see the magnificent City of Sails. You can see the Harbour Bridge, Sky Tower, all the like the harbour. And this should be like a tourist attraction, but instead it looks like a tip, man. It's like it's just poorly maintained. So I'm like, if we made those pillars of that Harbour Bridge into the biggest outdoor art gallery in the country, this would be a huge draw card. It would improve the look of the site. And NZTA is like stonewalling me, doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to talk, refuses to engage. Just bad faith. They're just shutting it down before it's even. They won't even let the conversation happen. That's my problem. It's like half the time when you contact these organizations, they won't even have the conversation. They just try and shut you down like straight away. And then you have to you don't have to, but then I lodge formal complaints against these individual staff members, and I just go to war with them.
Yeah.
Which is shit. I don't want to have to be that person, but I feel like it's the only way forward is they have to get complaints lodged against them until they comply.
Yeah.
It's not their bridge. Like, you just work there, bro. You just work there. Like, provide a way for us to engage. At least a way for us to engage. To have a legal conversation about the idea. And then we can move forward from there. But to just try and shut it down like every time, it's like, oh, come on. Like,
I think it's because they've got like all these different proposals on the bike lane going across the bridge lately. And the latest one, there's a gondola. They got the gondola plan now.
Yeah. I think they should be trying to figure out how to make it so people don't have to commute so much. Like,
or at least enjoy your commute. If you're stuck in traffic that much, at least you want to see something cool artwork on the side,
Yeah.
You don't want to crash, but you have something in your periphery when you're driving, maybe.
I mean, there didn't even used to be a harbour bridge, right? People used to just live on the North Shore, and that's where they hung out. And then there was people over in town, and they stayed over there. There was a ferry, and there wasn't all this commuting. So,
coming back to the whole business association thing with street artists, how they're trying to engage with them. What was the thing there with them?
Okay, so you've got a person, you've got other street artists, right? And they've got their patrons, and these are the people that pay them. Now, would that street artist then want to do what I'm doing and complain about the patron and complain about the council and make this big like hoo-ha about it? No, because that's not gonna get them any more money. They're gonna sort of bite the hand that feeds them. So I can understand why so many other street artists don't really speak up about this issue, but I just felt like, hey, I'd rather, even if this really badly affects my own financial position and my ability to generate income as an artist, I don't give a fuck, because I think it's the right thing to do to speak truth to power and tell them that there is actually an issue here, rather than just toe the line and be like, oh, I'll take a little bit of money here and there and not say anything about it. So even though I say all this stuff, man, half the people I'm complaining about, this is my clients. Like, I'm getting paid to produce artwork for these council organs, that I don't like. Or I don't. It's not that I don't like them. I don't like what they're doing.
I love that. I love that. I appreciate that, and I respect that, because you won't be a sellout. You won't be a sellout. You
Yeah,
know?
maybe I'll still sell out.
I mean, you're right. People don't want to bite the hand that feeds them, but if you believe something so much and you're getting screwed, or it's not right, you got to speak up.
Yeah,
and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
I don't want the other artists to. I don't like all the artists that are getting paid and that are getting heaps of money and that are getting all the work and stuff. They're fine. I care more about the next generation and the other artists who aren't able to actually be that lucky and get those opportunities. I care about them, and it's like there should be more opportunities for more people. There isn't enough. Like the street artists in Auckland that are getting the work, it's like a very small clique of people, man, and it's always the same guys it's always the same people getting the work again, which that to me is like there's something wrong here. It shouldn't be like, I know the person that works at Auckland Transport, so I get all the work. Right. That doesn't feel right to me. It should be like everyone should have a shot, everyone should get a chance. There should be more opportunities for everyone.
It should be about the art, right? Like every artist is different, so you want to have different flavors of art around.
Oh man, if you want to be a successful artist in Auckland, like a successful street artist, you better get bloody good at painting birds, because that's where all the money goes.
They want birds.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of birds on your Instagram.
Yep. That's where you get a conservative person. Some I'm not being ageist, but they're old. Almost all of them. They're older, and
they're old. They're fucking
what
old.
idea do they come up with for a mural? You go into a local board and say, "Hey, what do you guys want for a mural?" And then you do it by consensus. So you do a vote. You put forward 3 ideas. You say, "I want to do a mural about." New Zealand becoming a spacefaring nation, like our new rocket lab, cool rocket being launched from the Mahia Peninsula. And then you say, oh, what's the other idea? Nature mural with birds, kiwi. Man, the nature mural will get all the votes because it's just safe and easy, and they can be like, it mirrors the natural environment that we're trying to, like. That's not art, though. That's art should not be a mirror. Art should be inspiring. Art should be saying something about your community, your people. Like it should be challenging you as well.
Is that what you get when you get those council contracts? You get the
They
birds.
don't want conservative. They don't want
They want the birds. They want
controversial. Not allowed to be. They say can't be controversial, can't be political. Basically saying can't be important. It's just got to be decorations.
I guess that's what they're scared about. They're scared about being political and all that.
Well, because then you start saying like "fuck the oil companies" and all this sort of, Then they're like, ooh, like can't say that.
Well, I remember back in the days they had the whole when we were anti the Americans bringing us the nuclear stuff.
In Devonport, there's one of the oldest pieces of street art in Auckland, and it's a like anti-nukes.
Yeah,
mural.
anti-nukes. Yeah,
it's so cool, man, that it's still there. I can't believe it hasn't been painted over.
That must be the last time we were allowed to draw anything political. And back then, in the 80s, when it was David Lange was our prime minister, and I remember that it was a whole thing about saying no to nukes.
Yeah, and there's those big murals of say no to nukes across the road from the mural you're talking about.
Yeah, see, and that's
K Road.
And like you said, that's been there for all that time.
Yeah, and they actually got a new generation of artists to come and do a second round. So there's actually 2 sets of paintings there,
right,
on that corner.
Yeah. So that's the kind of things you're talking about, like that no nukes mural being there for so long. That's what you're talking about, having some of the artwork, street art, last that long.
Absolutely,
because it's a big message. It was a big message at the time. It's political, but all the Kiwis were all down for it. So when that mural came out, I don't know what it was like because I was a little kid, but people were like,
I remember.
People were like going, yeah, it's a political thing. But these days, you wouldn't get caught doing anything political now.
I did one for Ihu Mātau.
Oh man, that was. I think I saw a little thing on your Instagram about that.
It's still there, man. It's still across the road. Yeah, the cops were there watching me paint it, and they didn't know that I didn't have permission.
Oh, really?
That's like the only thing I painted illegally in so long. That was like I really felt quite passionate about that one. I was like, fuck, man.
And it's still there.
Give them the farm back. Just give it back. Like, how hard is this? Like, come on. Like,
that-
do the right thing.
Because that shit's still going on, eh? They haven't resolved it yet, eh?
I think it's resolved. Yeah.
Have they?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so what happened?
They got it back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like back with the iwi and the
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
the kids are playing on the hill and it's like,
Yeah.
doesn't have a big land development there, big housing development.
That's the thing with the media, right? Like when the story is big, they're onto it, but then they leave.
Yeah.
But then the story is still going.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't get you like search for it and you're like, where's the update?
Yeah, what's
Like,
happening?
where's
But
the
now
next-
they've moved on to the next story. See, because
Yeah.
they don't care. They want the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like I saw on your Instagram, you've got this thing with a blue cone.
Oh, that.
Is that one of the birds or just one of yours? Is that
Um,
one of your things?
So my bro Gary Salipa, he's a street artist and he does this festival out in GI. It's called the Bradley Lane Project, and they do like every year invites 5 artists to Glen Innes, and they have a festival where the artists paint murals on the buildings in the town centre. And over the years, I think there's like 47 murals there or something like that. Yeah. And he invited me to come there. I met him at an op shop, and we were trying to buy the art books, and he'd already cleaned out the shop over the years. I think there wasn't much left. Yeah, it's all in the studio, all the art books. So he invited me to be one of the artists for the Bradley Lane project. So I was like, one of my like, I think all artists should have you shouldn't just be an artist. There's got to be some like subject matter, like what are you actually passionate about? And my thing that I realized that I was really passionate about outside of street art was like space exploration and humans becoming a multi-planet species. That's like I think if I could contribute towards something in the real long term, like leave a legacy, that would be my like thing that I'd want to add towards. So I was like, how do I paint that? So I was like, I'm gonna do an op shop on Mars. So because it was like merging this two things. So I met him at the op shop, and I was like, I'll do an op shop on Mars. So I was like painting this op shop on Mars, and then he cones off the wall, like he puts all these road cones around the wall when you're painting, so that the people can't come up and like nick your paint or like get too close. Just keeps it a bit safer, like just feels more like orderly with the barrier. And then you're on one side and they're over there, and you can like they feel a bit more respect. They can't just get up in your space. So anyway, I was like, I had this orange background on the wall because it was Mars, and you couldn't see the road cone. And I was like,
Oh, right.
You're not going to be able to see road cones on Mars. So I was like, I painted one of the road cones blue, and that was when I invented the Mars road cone. So it's like when they're building the cities on Mars, like they're first building the colonies and stuff. Well, they're going to need them for the whole thing, right? You can't see a orange road cone on a red planet, so you're going to need some blue road cones. And then I took it a step further, and I was like, okay, how do I make this even better? So I was like, it's called Mars obelisk, and it's like a sculpture. Like it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve over time from being just the Martian road cone,
Yeah.
into like being this sort of like a full on like sculptural like thing that they build in the middle of the Martian city as like a memorial to the building of the city. And it'll be called the Mars obelisk, and I want to get this sent with the first colony that lands on Mars to build that first city. This is my like contribution to the mission. So I'm hoping I can somehow figure out like through the Mars Society or something. Like, hey, like you got to send this Mars obelisk with the colonists. Like this is the flagpole. Like this is how you say this. This is the middle of the city.
There is people that what you call them? The people that do this? The Mars
Society.
Yeah, is it? There's such thing.
Oh, this is a real society.
Yeah. I can imagine.
It's founded by a guy called Robert Zubrin. So he's like founder of the Mars Society, and he designed this.
Is he in America?
Yeah. They had the first Mars mission design they had was they're like, we'll build this massive ship in space, and it'll have all this food and fuel and everything to go all the way to Mars and then land on the surface of Mars, and then you'll have all the fuel that you need to like then lift off again from Mars and then fly back to Earth. And it's huge. It's like a stupid, like fucking insane. And then he came up with this new mission architecture of let's go light. Let's go like the same way that that settlers go, or like travelers go, where you live off the land. So let's go to Mars with a really light ship, and you land, and when you land, your tanks are now empty, and then you have to like filter some Martian atmosphere and the water on Mars and make your rocket fuel there to refuel your rocket
to come back
to fly back.
Yeah.
So he founded the Mars Society, and that's like the birth of like the people who want to like colonize Mars. And then there's like all this other cool shit that they talk about. But
it's funny because I was just talking about this in another podcast where we're talking about when there's a supernova, like humans have to get off this, get off the solar system one day. If humans ever make it, so I think it's 1 billion years they said till we get a supernova.
It's pretty far away, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know if humans will even last that long. But if we do, we have to find a way to get off the solar system. But then I don't know if you read a lot of because I read a lot of what's his name, the black astrophysicist. What's his name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's him. And he talks about how the next obstacle is when the next galaxy collides with our galaxy.
The Andromeda galaxy will crash into the Milky Way.
Us. Yeah. So what are we gonna do then if we ever make it that far? So that was all interesting.
I think that's so far away that it's like really, I don't know if it's a real concern for our generation. I think the one for us is if we blow ourselves up with like a nuclear war, or COVID. That could have been. We're pretty lucky. That was a weak, pretty weak virus. Like if it had been the zombie strain or some like other real full-on bad thing, that could have been us. Like that. Yeah. So I think we're pretty fragile as a species. There's many ways that we can just die. Like if a rogue, do you know what a rogue asteroid is?
Yeah.
So you got the asteroids that are in orbit around our sun. Rogue asteroids are ones coming in from deep space, and we can't see them. And it could just fly in and hit Earth, and that'll be it. And that's why we need to be on another planet, because then think of it of like a USB drive backup. It's like you want a copy of your hard drive somewhere else. So if your main computer gets trashed, you can just bring the hard drive back and plug it in and reinstall human civilization. So that would be what the Mars colony would be. It's like this backup of everything that's great about humans. Our technology, our culture, our people.
Do you ever watch Black Mirror?
Black Mirror, yeah.
You ever watch that? That's out of it.
Basically every sci-fi show you can think of, I probably.
I can see you're a sci-fi fan. Are you a Trekkie? Or Star Wars? Are you Trekkie or Star Wars?
I think I used to like Star Wars more, but now I like Star Trek more. Yeah.
It's cool. He's talking about leaving the planet. What's that? There's that program. Do you ever watch The Expanse?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How there's humans on Earth, humans on the asteroid field, humans on Mars, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that thing. I'll send it to you later though. It's like a it's basically like that, but it's like I can't find it. It's like this dude. It's this dude who has like a blog.
Yeah.
And he records every single like website to do with anything to do with future technology that's to do with like getting us to Mars or getting us to another star or getting us like all that.
Yeah,
it's like so crazy, man. You read through and it's like what, and then you go to the next website and it's like, oh my gosh, like you serious?
Bit of a rabbit hole, is it?
It's so cool though. It's like just so intriguing to think that there's so many different people out there like that, like putting all this money into figuring this stuff out. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we have like the beginning of a Martian like city in the next 10 years.
Because all it is
we're nearly there.
It's putting plants on there, right? We just gotta put plants on there. They can soak up the CO2 and exchange it to oxygen. Isn't that the deal with Mars? It's just CO2 in the atmosphere. They wanna just plant a whole bunch of plants there.
Yeah, it's a bit trickier than that.
Because plants need CO2 and sunlight and water, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We just build a garden over there, and
you probably need to start with some fungus. Yeah. And some heat. You need to heat it up a little bit first.
Yeah.
So maybe you could set up a big orbital array of mirrors in space that would increase the magnitude of the sun. So the sun coming towards it would go through this ring of mirrors, and it would like double. It would make the sun look bigger from Mars.
Right.
Or that trick of just blowing up a whole lot of nukes on the South Pole, because nukes aren't that bad on Mars. It's like it's bad for us, but
really?
Well, over there it's like you've got bigger problems. So it's like it's some radiation, not a,
Yeah. I don't know what the atmosphere is like.
It's like less than 1% of Earth's, so it's almost nothing, but it's just enough that
we can live there.
Well, that you can use it. You can use it for aero braking.
What's that?
Well, it's like drag. So when a parachute uses air to catch your parachute catches the air and slows you down. You can use that form of braking on Mars. Whereas on the moon, there's no air, so a parachute doesn't work, does nothing, just falls behind you, just doesn't slow you down. Whereas you can use the air on Mars to slow you down. You can generate a little bit of lift, so you can get some like aerodynamic forces working for you, and that way you don't need to use you don't need to just use fuel. You don't need to just use your engines to land, which means your landing is a lot easier, right? But I don't think you don't need to terraform. You don't need to terraform Mars. You just need to.
Is that what's called when you put plants there?
When you make it like Earth, so Terra, Earth, terraforming, make it like Earth. You just need to make it a little bit, like you need to increase the atmosphere enough that you don't need to wear a pressure suit anymore. Right. Like a space suit holds your body together so it doesn't like kill you. And if you get enough atmosphere on Mars where you can just wear a gas mask, right, that would increase the quality of life on Mars so much, because you can just wear like normal clothes, just warm clothes, like heaps of them, because it'll be like Antarctica, right? You'll be like real cold, but just real cold clothes and an air mask. Okay, this is okay. I don't have to wear a spacesuit every day. That's what will make it real terrible to begin with, is the whole like having a full on spacesuit every day.
Is Mars outside us or inside us?
Outside.
From the sun. Oh, okay. That's why it'll be a bit more colder.
It takes 2 years to orbit the sun, and Earth takes 1 year to orbit the sun.
Right.
And then the day is basically the same, so it's like
it turns the same.
It's almost the same. Yeah. It's like I think it's 10 minutes different or something. It's like so. It's basically this. It's quite similar. Like in lots of ways, it's really similar, but it's just got like
same size, isn't it? Same size as Earth.
Smaller. Right. So you've got more. You've got less gravity.
I saw they put a camera on Mars recently, and I think I saw they said that they can see remnants of a river.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Oh yeah, there definitely used to be water there.
Yeah.
It used to be water. Yeah. And as we know from everything we know about Earth, they used to think that like life was kind of like it would only be in certain places on Earth, but then they went all the way to the bottom of the deepest trench on Earth, like the Marianas Trench or whatever, to these like lava vents where there's like toxic sulfur coming out of the thing. But if there's water there, there's life there. And then they go to like the most freezing Antarctic like place. They dig around a bit, find life there. Everywhere. It's just life is everywhere on Earth. If there's water, there's life. So they're like, okay, there's water on Mars. There must be life there. Well, not must be, but if you were going to find life somewhere in the solar system, you're going to find it where there's water. You're probably not going to find it on the moon because it's too dry. It's like, there's a bit of water there, but fuck all. But Mars, it's like, maybe you'll find like, that's why it's so cool to go there. Because you can actually start like digging around and going like, let's try and find traces of past life. Let's try and find like, is there life there now? Maybe it's hidden under the ground in some like underground lake or something. Like there's, yeah.
I got a real good perspective when I watched that documentary series on Netflix. I think it's called is it called Solar or something? History of the galaxy, of and it's billions of years from when Earth began to humans, us humans.
Yeah.
It's a billion years between there and there. So a lot of shit happened.
I think it's 4 billion years is the age of the Earth, and then from the time period when you could have had life happen, like when it wasn't a burning ball of lava, when it sort of cooled down a bit and we started getting a bit of water, it was like 200 million years, and then life appeared.
Yeah.
So it was very, very early. It didn't take long.
And the atmosphere was even more we had now. I mean, the oxygen levels were high, or like triple the amount of oxygen we got now. That's why they had big dinosaurs, big insects. Insects were massive,
Yeah.
back then because of the high oxygen. Wow, that was buzzy, man. That was cool. It's funny because I'm into science now, but I hated it when I was at high school.
Why'd you hate it?
I thought it was like boring. I didn't understand. I wanted to go outside and play basketball. But now it's cool, man. I love science.
I thought it was. I liked it, but I didn't think other people liked it. I thought it was like a bit of nerd subject. But
well,
now
it was a nerd subject.
Yeah, now I don't care. Now I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love it. But it's you know a lot about Mars.
I used to love watching Star Trek Voyager every day on Saturday.
Yeah.
Every Saturday it would be on TV when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped watching Star Trek when the movies finished. I never got into the TV series, the new ones, Voyager and all that stuff. I get into
you mean the new one, like Discovery?
I saw that. Was good, eh? I might watch it, eh?
It's a bit painful.
Is it?
Yeah, I think the newer one is better. Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah,
that's
Strange
really
New Worlds,
good.
Yeah.
You know the nurse in there? I met her in Australia. She was like,
oh really?
She was a street artist in Brisbane.
Really?
Yeah. So I was so random. I was like watching, and I was like, I'm sure I know that chick.
And she's an actor.
Yeah, now she's
Actress.
an actor on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Yeah.
I wonder if it was filmed in Australia. Don't know.
Don't think so. But there's a lot of cross pollination between was it like Movie World Studios in Gold Coast and Hollywood? Like they come film shit there.
Yeah. I tell you what, science fiction movie I did like. It was the one that's close to science. Was Interstellar. Do you remember that one? It came out a couple of years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago.
Oh yeah. And it's like time dilation stuff.
Yeah, they're trying to find another planet to inhabit.
Yeah.
So they folded the.
He time travels back to his daughter or something. Oh, spoilers.
That's right. It's an old movie, but it's based on actual science. What they understand in theory, with the folding of the.
Yeah.
They fold. What do they fold?
Like space time.
Yeah, they fold space time so they can, sort of. It's like light speed, eh? Like in Star Wars when they go light speed and all that. I was out of it.
I was listening to something and the other day, and it was like they started talking about what is it, like wormholes?
That's it. That's the fold thing. Wormhole.
But then they talked about something else, like going to like other dimensions. So it's not like in our own. It's not like you're
Right,
traveling
right.
within the universe. It's like you're going to another dimension, like a parallel universe.
That's buzzy how, because I watched how they explain it, what
Yeah.
the fourth dimension is,
Yeah.
and it's buzzy because we'll never see it. We'll never see it. Like an ant never sees three dimension.
Yeah.
The whole theory about a flat.
And the guy started talking about this, and I'm like, he's going to talk about the Einstein-Podolsky bridge. And then he said it. And I was like, yeah.
What's that?
It's like the Einstein-Podolsky bridge is this thing that they talked about, like Einstein and this other guy, Podolsky, like theorized of how they would invent, of how an interdimensional wormhole would work, like how you could get to a parallel universe. Like not our universe, like another universe where maybe everything's the same, but Hitler was never born or something like
All right.
like it's just a little bit different.
Like the multiverse. in
Yeah,
Marvel.
like that.
But they've actually figured it out, like calculated how it could
It's
happen.
like theoretically possible,
Yeah.
but you'd need some form of exotic matter to hold the doorway open. And when I say exotic matter, I mean like steel times a billion, like some like so powerful, like it would have to be like energy times a million, like real powerful to hold it open, and then you can climb through the tunnel to the other thing. So it's impossible. That material will probably never get it. You'd need like a black hole to power the doorway to open it, but it's like
How they explain the fourth dimension, I didn't really understand it. When they talked about the doorway, you open a door and you go. Do you know? Do you know how they get like that explanation? Have you heard that explanation? Or
this is
about the
different to the fourth dimension.
oh right,
The fourth
right.
dimension is like that would be like where ghosts and stuff are, right?
Something about they talked about the that cartoon Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah.
How they go through the door, and that's exactly how it works.
That's a really good analogy for it. Funny that it's in a kids movie.
Yeah, but you understand more than me. I think. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
What-
but the fourth dimension's different.
Yeah.
This is like there's a TV show called Sliders. It's like from the 90s,
Mm.
and it's like he's got this remote control, and he opens up a like portal, and then they go through, and it's like the they never invented aluminium or something, and it's like it's called the heavy world, and everything's heavy because there's no like planes or anything
Yeah.
or like that. But that one's not scientific about the tunnel. It's more just about the implications of what it would be like if it was just slightly different.
Hmm. So to me, the fourth dimension means we can't see what's controlling us, right? There's other things out there that can see us, but we can't see them.
I'd think of it in terms of like a person who's blind.
Person who's blind.
Like that, there's a dimension there that they just can't see. Like
Yeah.
like they can feel, they can smell, they can taste, they can touch, they can hear, but they can't see anything. So maybe that's what the fourth dimension is like. It's like another sense that you,
Right.
which is that ant analogy is a good one. Like it's like they live in a 2D plane.
Yeah.
And they can't really tell that you're like just up here
Yeah,
above
yeah.
them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's freaky. Eh? Fuck, that's freaky.
Yeah.
No, man, I love all this stuff. I love all this stuff.
So that's what the blue road cone is like.
Coming back to the blue road cone.
That's meant to be like something about that sort of shit. And so I just started painting more and more and more of them. And then
So that's like your signature now, eh? Kind of like your
yeah. It's like
your signature
evolved
thing.
into being my like signature piece that I do, and I'm trying to like take it somewhere else now.
Because when I first saw it and I saw the Mars cone, and I said, "What the hell is he
that?
talking about? It's red."
Yeah, it's pretty
That's supposed
crazy.
to be red.
It's like real weird.
But the way you explained it, it's like, okay, it makes sense now. But see, as an artist, when you express yourself in art,
People
know,
don't get it.
people don't get it.
And it's not my job to make someone get it.
Yeah.
And that's
the interpretation, right? They interpret it why they want.
and they're allowed to if they might think it's something completely different. I went to a local board meeting and I was trying to say to them like, hey, I want to paint a massive blue road cones on this retaining wall as like a piece of artwork. And the negative energy they brought to it, they were like, this is a hit piece against Auckland Transport for having road cones everywhere. And I was like, actually, I don't care about Auckland Transport at all, like at all. This is not about that at all. This is my crazy shit. Like, this is me being nuts. This has nothing to do with that. Like, you can, if you want to bring that away, if you want to try and put that into my art, whatever. Like, because there's Oniwa Road on the North Shore and it's like real bad. Like the traffic's like real bad.
Yeah.
Every day. So I think they thought it was a dig on that or something. I don't know what it was.
Can you imagine if you're the guy who invented the road cones? You'd be rich right now, eh?
That's actually part of the strategy. I was thinking about it and I was like, what I need to do to make people like think of me when they're just driving around Auckland is I need to hijack some public symbol. So I was like, the road cone, that's the symbol. I'll hijack that.
This whole thing about putting more roads in there, that's the result of that, right? The decision to fix all the roads, build more roads. You're going to need a million more road cones. Man, I remember when they were doing the Waikato Express, going down to Hamilton. And while they were doing it, they had road cones all the way from fucking, I don't know where, to almost to Hamilton. There must have been thousands of road cones,
So I do something called Lagoima. So Lagoima is like Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act, and you can send a Lagoima request to any government or council department or agency, and they have to reply. So I can ask you a question, and you have to answer me. So I found out how much they spend on road cones.
Oh, really? How much?
They spend $4 million a year on road cones.
Oh.
So it's the same as graffiti removal.
Fuck.
Which I was like, fuck, that's crazy that they spend like that much.
Was that this is for the Auckland area?
It's nationally. They spend $4 million a year on road cones in New Zealand. And then I was like, all right, so we spend $4 million a year on graffiti removal in Auckland. I wonder how much they spend on blue road cones, which is like not the normal one, but I was thinking of it like as art. Like if art is the blue road cone, how much do they spend on blue road cones? So they spend $200,000 on all types of art in Auckland. The council spends $200,000 per year. So they spend 15 times more money on removing graffiti than all types of artwork.
Shit.
Like I'm sure they spend more money on artwork. I know they do. They spend more money on artwork outside of their allocated budget, but that's how much they like budget for it. So they budget $4 million for graffiti removal, and then they budget $200,000 for all art. I was just like, that's not good.
There's a lot of examples that I've seen of how the council spend their money, right? For example, where I work.
That blue intersection, have you seen it in Henderson?
Oh, fuck.
200,000, bro.
That's the worst.
200,000. Like,
those fucking big planters they've got to stop traffic.
Yeah.
You know when they did that first, it was like a trial.
Yeah.
And
I was part of that. I got paid to do some of the artwork on some of the shows.
Was you that did the blue on the road?
Different one. Different area, but same project. Yeah.
Oh, man. The amount of traffic that they got held up, they made everything one lane coming into Henderson.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, right? and I heard the council lady or whoever was saying, "Oh no, we want people to ride their bikes." And how are we gonna put our shopping on our bikes? This whole riding a bike thing. That was the whole plan of doing that intersection, right? To make it safe for cyclists. Wasn't that the whole point of it? And that's what they were trying. But then all they did was just anger everybody. All I heard was anger rather than, this is a safe place to ride a bike.
I think some people get angry just because it's change and it's a waste of money, which it is.
Yeah.
So I try to think about it like, let's try and not get immediately angry at them because they're so stupid sometimes and they just piss you off. But it's like, okay, let's not swear at them straight away because maybe they are trying to do something innovative that will fix things.
But they've got so much money in the bank to spend. They're just being stupid about it. You know?
Yeah,
because
it's not their money.
It's not their money, but it's a lot of money. And
It's a lot of money.
the
It's ridiculous.
rate payers should complain about this.
They should be held accountable, yeah.
But then I heard the argument, you should vote the right people in then.
No, but
No one votes.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't matter because Auckland Transport is not a council.
No, it's not.
It's not the council. You can't elect someone to be on Auckland Transport's board or whatever. It's not like that. They're like a rogue entity, man.
They're entity
that's
unto
crazy.
themselves.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're like completely renegade. They just do whatever the hell they want.
And they're the ones doing the cycleways everywhere.
I've made a concerted effort. Like that's what this graffiti, like sort of trying to get permission to paint street art murals has done, is it's actually given me this weird sort of like look into council because I'm just narrowly focused on this one topic, obsessive compulsively trying to understand how the council relates to this thing, and I can see how much of a mess it is, and I can see how powerless the local boards are to actually have control over their own walls in their parks and their own walls in Auckland Transport's roadways. And it's like, oh, okay, you guys actually don't have any control over anything then. If you don't even have control over the fence, you don't even have control over the retaining wall to say, yes, you have permission to paint there. I have to go through AT. And AT is not elected. These are unelected people who make the decision. And then they send it back to, it's like they get half the decision and the local board gets half the decision. That's wrong. It's like the person I voted for should be the person making the decision, not some other person who's just
so it's,
works there for 20 years.
So it's the New Zealand government that needs to change. They can change that.
Auckland Council would need to reform and rewrite their rules of engagement, the whole rule book of how Auckland Council as an entity functions. You'd need to rewrite it and change it. You know how they did the Super City back in 2011 or whatever back then?
Yeah.
That's where it's from.
Oh, from then.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's when the rules were written, and that's when they made the thing of having the CEO of Auckland Council who oversees all of it, and then you've got the separate organisations like Auckland Transport and Watercare and Panuku and all these other who do different things. It's it's super complicated. I just got lost when I first started trying to understand it. I still don't really understand it at all, but it's I think I've got more understanding than the average person on it. But talking to local board members, and they feel the same way. There's this guy on the North Shore called Adrian Tyler. He's local board member. He's running on a platform of changing this stuff because he's so sick of it, of not being able to actually do, not having the elected members in control, having some unelected official who's, it's why are you making the decision, bro? You
It doesn't make sense because the AT is control of a lot of public spaces, and it's public space.
That's huge.
It's huge.
This is
massive.
the main thing. This is the most important piece of infrastructure in the country. Is all the road network of Auckland. The most. What else is more important? And to have a bunch of unelected people who get to do what they want and use it as their SimCity playground, where they get to sort of just do these random experiments and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. Doesn't feel like democracy anymore. It feels like this sort of, it is a little bit democracy, but not enough for my liking.
Maybe too much democracy because nothing gets done. You got too many heads you got too many people trying to not step on each other's toes, and too many supervisors, there's too much red tape.
It should be more local though. The local boards should be able to make decisions for their local area. They should be able to make decisions about their own road network in their own community, not have some central organisation telling them what to do in Henderson or in Beach Haven or in whatever suburb. Because
so you would prefer reverting away from the Super City and back to Waitakere City Council, Auckland, North Shore City Council, Manukau City Council, as separate entities like before, yeah.
Maybe not that, but
Or just
It's
more of a.
you should still have the central Auckland Transport Organisation, which like runs all the big stuff, because you don't want to double up on having 2 of everything, or 10 of everything.
Or just have them maintain the roads, maintain
the decision.
stuff.
Yeah, maintain it, do the job,
Yeah,
but
do
then
the
have
job,
the
yeah.
decisions coming from the local level,
Yeah.
so they get to decide like where they want the roundabout, or if they actually, our community doesn't want these bike lanes. No, I've got nothing against bike lanes though. I just think I'm all for like local.
No, I've got nothing against bike lanes either.
I would vote for them personally.
Except I got a feeling, it's obvious that majority don't want it, and you gotta go with
I
the
think there
majority.
should be local decisions.
You just gotta go with the majority,
Have the bike lane like off the road would be pretty cool, eh? Like a separate pathway.
Well, I get the idea, but I don't think Auckland has the topography to do it. Because they talk about like we want to be like Holland. They got bikes everywhere. And I haven't been to Holland, but I asked some of the people in my work, like, I've been to Holland, yeah, I've been to Holland. Is it flat? Yeah, hell yeah, it's flat.
Like Christchurch, it's real flat.
It's
It's
real
so
flat.
nice for biking.
Duh.
It's like great.
I mean, of course they got bikes, it's flat.
Yeah.
But Auckland ain't got that type of topography, man. We're going up hills, we don't want to ride uphill.
You get real fit.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense to me.
So that thing that you heard about on the radio that I was talking to Heather about.
Because that was about taggers taking over your art, right?
Yeah. So I get permission to paint this wall, and I go there and I paint a big mural on the wall, like big piece of street art on the wall, whole wall, blue road cones.
Is this where you're getting? Is this where you're gonna get to? They tag on there because they know it's not gonna get taken off.
So it's like, yeah, this is the same reason why. This is also broken. This is the same, like, they wrote these rules back in like 2011, and they like, it's like the artists and the graffiti artists, they're not stupid people. Like, people think like a tagger is a dumbass, but it's like, no, this person is like stealthy. They're stealing all their paint. Often, not all of them, but some are like rich kids and they have lots of paint. Other ones just spend I'm one of the ones that I don't steal any paint and I spend all my money on paint and I just go without for other things. I'm like, that's my priorities. Like, having paint is top priority. So
Your tools. Having your tools.
well, what else do I need?
Yeah.
I need food, water, and paint. That's all. I don't need luxury clothes. I don't need designer this, designer that. Like this fake concept of luxury. No, I'd rather be creating culture. That's what's important to me. So they know that they know what the rules are. They've figured out what the rules are, and it's residential and it's small business. So they've figured out that big business, like a construction company, doesn't have free graffiti removal service offered to them by the council. So that's why the construction sites are always getting hit. That's literally why. So the construction sites are like target number 1. So these poor construction companies are getting like smashed with graffiti because the taggers know that they're not going to get it removed for free.
Especially with those hoardings, they've got to hoard their sites.
Which is the same thing, and I just fell into this black hole of getting permission to paint these sites that are like owned by big companies, and they give me permission to paint their fence. And then the taggers are like, they know that site is owned by a big construction company because it's like either a derelict site, like an empty site, or one of those car parks in town where like it's like a building got knocked down and then it's got gravel on it, and now it's like a car park. So they know that site isn't going to get free graffiti removal. So now they're like battling me for the wall. So it's like, I'll paint the wall with my mural of like road cones, and then I come back like a week later and they've just wrecked it. Like it's all, I'm not talking just some tags on it. I'm talking like the whole thing covered, like pieces, all gone. And then I have to start again.
And it's the taggers that did that.
Yeah, and we're on like round 90.
Right.
Like back and forward, back and forward.
Right. I saw that piece you did. I saw it in your photos down in Ponsonby, down that road between, I think it's the Revel Bar,
The Revelry,
Revelry Bar,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there was a construction site there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's finished now. But is it
They're still building. Yeah. Still
but
under
you had that
construction.
piece in the.
Yeah.
What's a container?
One's on a container, one's on the hoarding.
Mm.
There's like 6 pieces of walls there.
Yeah. So
That's
that was
what,
one of the places they got
that
hit.
one's getting tagged as well. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
hitting that. I think that's like a retaliation for me painting over them on that car park. But they don't. I don't know what they think, because it's.
Well, it's like you said, that it's a place where they know it's not going to get taken off.
Yeah, but it's also personal. They're lashing out at me because I've got permission and they don't. And they don't think it's fair that I'm getting permission to legally paint this spot when they want that spot to be an illegal graffiti spot where anyone can paint and they can just go nuts. So when I paint there, they just come and wreck my art again. And then now they're lashing out on my like legal murals that were never, ever a graffiti spot. And they're trying to take those out too. And it's like, come on, man. Like, this is pretty fucking petty.
The construction companies pay you to
Yeah.
paint there? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And they're paying me to go and repair the graffiti.
Right.
So these guys wrecking my mural, it's like, well, I still get paid, but it's my client that's suffering more than anything. But then on one of the sites, I've come up with a strategy. I was like, all right, I paint over them and they come back and paint it again. And I paint over them and they come back and paint it again. So let's try something else. So I started like screwing wood onto the wall. It's like I've got a jigsaw and I cut out the road cones and make it into like a 3D piece. So it's like popping out of the wall.
Right.
So they can't. The idea is they can't then just tag straight over the top, because it'll like be 3D after they paint on it. So this is all like pieces of wood and road cones, and I was just trying to be like a troll, kind of like, you want to tag over me here? I'll try this. Try this as an experiment to see what you'll do next time. But now it's like, actually, that's like sick, man. People like this. So I'm thinking I've actually, that inadvertently, by having this weird like graffiti battle over this wall, I've like invented a new style that I'm really excited to try and see where I can take this and do some.
It's almost as if when they tag, it's part of the artwork.
Yeah, which is so cool.
Which is
I
cool.
love that even if they tag over the top, it doesn't matter. It'll
Yeah.
just blend into it.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep putting more layers of cut up road cones and timber and different things. I just went and bought like 10,000 screws and nails, and
Fuck, that's brilliant, bro.
I've got like 500 liters of paint. So it's like,
Oh, that's brilliant.
let's go.
You know, that is really thoughtful of you and thinking outside the box. As man, because I've just met you for the last hour and a half, and man, your mind just works like differently, and which is good. You know, like I wouldn't see the average Joe will hate these taggers for painting my art. You know, fuck these guys. But it's all art, right? We're all artists here, right? I mean, you know, we're on the same ballpark here. We got the same goals. Rarely.
Yeah.
It's like different sides of the same coin. So
I have a
it's
lot
like,
more in common with them than
Yeah, exactly. And for
they
you
would
to
like to
have the idea to do something that will, if you tag on it, will be part of the artwork. So let's all be art together now. You know, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant.
I'm secretly giving them a cuddle and they don't like it, but
No, that's cool, man. That's cool.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna take it back to the start with you. Like, so you grew up in North Shore. Obviously, you did art at school. And when did you find? How did you know you wanted to be an artist when you were young? What were you doing? What were you drawing?
I can remember this. I can remember this painting that I did when I was a kid. It was like I'd been having these weird dreams, and I somehow found myself reading this. Like my parents were kind of religious, and I learned about sort of spirituality, but then also I was real interested in science. So I was kind of like in this weird, like didn't know what was real, and I was interested in my dreams. I was like, what's this dreams I'm having? This is crazy. Like I kept having this like recurring nightmare of being chased by people in a van, and the van would like turn to a motorbike sometimes, and like don't know if it was like gang members or something. I like grew up in Beach Haven, which was like real fucking rough, man. It's like used to get my head smashed in heaps and get in fights and like all sorts of crime and stuff. Like so, this nightmare I had, it was like I found this dream book, and it was about like lucid dreaming and how you could pinch yourself in your dream and like wake up but not wake up, and you would still be in your dream, but now you're sort of lucid. Like you can manipulate your dream and do what you want in the dream instead of the dream just happening to you. So I could take control of the dream.
I've had that before.
Yeah. I think most people will have experienced it. So I learned these lucid dreaming techniques, and you have to do it when you're awake. It's like every now and then just go, am I awake? Am I awake? Or the other one was, I had this one. This was my trigger, was to look at my watch and then to look at it again. And if the time was the same, you're awake. But if the time, because when you're dreaming, nothing like that will stay the same. It'll always change. So my watch was my thing, and I'd time travel, and I'd be like, nah, this time isn't right. And I'd be like, I'd just snap out of it, and I'd full take control of the dream.
Yeah.
And there was one where where I was on this I was on the stage, and there was like ballerinas dancing across the stage, and then this train came across the stage, and then the audience turned into the trees, and then I like woke up, something like that. So I painted that, and that was like one of my favorite. That was like a real cool painting that I made when I was a kid, because it was based on just bullshit. It wasn't like wasn't trying to paint like a real thing. It was like painting this like crazy like people half tree and like ballerina train stage thing, like just this whole like crazy mess. It was really colorful and stuff.
So it's kind of like abstract.
Yeah. And I think that was the first real like significant painting I did, and then I didn't really paint again for like properly like for years, and then when I was painting graffiti, like tagging, because I was tagging, hanging around with like naughty kids, and then I started going to town, and like there was this place called Oriental Markets.
Yeah.
In town.
Yeah.
Did you ever go there?
Yeah, I went there.
Where it was like all graphed
That's
out.
where the old Brother Mothers now.
Yeah. That was all like had like art in there, and it's ironically like that's where the train is now, and it was like just felt like something like different. Like this was important. I was like in there, and I was like there was all this art everywhere, and it was like real cool, and we'd like climb up in the rafters and do tags up high. But I saw the pieces there of people who'd done like really amazing pieces, and some of my friends around that time, they were doing pretty good like pieces, and I watched them do them. And that was one of my friends, Mike. He did a piece, and then I met other friends of friends, and more writers, and I just fell in love with the whole like thing of graffiti. And
You're still at school this time? Were you still at school? High school?
No, I dropped out. Dropped out. Yeah. I was like, I never thought I'd be an artist at that. When I was at school, I never thought I'd be an artist. I was good at maths. I thought I'd be doing something in like science. And then, well, I guess I do blue road cones, so I was still doing science. And then one of my writer friends, like Tutos, I made real good friends with him, and I would paint with him. And then when I was in Australia, I befriended this guy called Anthony Lister, and he's like paints like modern take on superheroes, but they're like modern take on like legends and myths, like heroes, but like in a modern way, like it's like superheroes, but then also really talented artist, and follows like many of the great artists from the 20th century, like Picasso and Francis Bacon and Brett Whiteley, and he educated me about the art world and how to like be like a boss of painting, and how to like it's like how to be in control of the artwork instead of just trying to recreate something but how to actually like make art. And I learned lots of skills off that guy. That was real like life-changing experience working with him. I've worked with him for many years, and then one of my many I had this thing of I loved like meeting a random person who was like maybe some like artist, like young person tagger or something, and like taking them under my wing and like teaching them and like trying to get them to be better. And one of my best friends, James, he's like full-time artist in Australia now, which is really cool to see that he's like gone places with it. Like I met him when he was like 13 years old, and I was like, I was doing stuff. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's like quite crazy.
So your artist career now just came about as just a hobby, and now you didn't go to school or anything? You didn't go to art school?
I went to Potama Te Raumanga. It was like an art school in Grafton for like 3 months.
3 months.
And they were like teaching us to like get paper and cut it into pieces and like weave it together, and then like other like stuff. I can't really remember it. It wasn't very good. It was like very low level like art stuff, like, and the teacher wasn't an art teacher, so they didn't know what they were doing either. It was like, what are you doing? Like,
just taking your money.
Yeah. It was just like, what is this? Like, this isn't real art school. And then I'd like every day at lunch, I'd go outside, and we were right next to the motorway, so I'd go out onto the motorway, and I brought a saw with me, and I'd hack down all the trees on the side of the motorway and like clear the fences. And then I'd come back at night with my friends, and we'd bomb the motorway, like paint all these spots I'd made during my lunch breaks. So I was just keen to do graffiti. I was like, this is just the best thing ever. Like, graffiti's just the best thing ever. Painting beautiful, colourful artwork.
Because if you look into the graph culture around the world, it's big, it's huge.
It is the largest art movement in human history.
It's an urban art movement there.
It brings art to the masses, where other art is all about money, and most of it's just frankly bullshit. Like, it's just bullshit. It's just a way for people to transfer wealth and launder money. It's not real. It's not real art at all. Whereas graffiti, you are putting everything on the line. You're doing it legally most of the time. You're not getting paid. This is artistic integrity. This is everything you would expect from a brilliant artist who should be looked up to and admired. Someone who is just risking it all, and it's like a hero in a story. Like, that's what those are the traits you would think of, is not someone who's like in a gallery trying to make heaps of cash. That's a scumbag. So when I looked at graffiti, I was like, this is amazing. These people are like brave, and you know. And I remember when I was like 5 years old, there was this dude JX, and he used to tag up Beach Haven. That was like the first tag I ever remember seeing, Romana. And then I like met him years later, and I got to paint with him. I was like, this is sick. It was like so cool. So I think those like weird chance encounters where I actually got to paint with some of my like role models from when I was younger was what just hooked me into it even more and made me like addicted. And then just want to do it forever.
I remember when I was at school, I was in high school in the early 90s, and I remember the tags in the local area. Like, there's always the one tag that's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows, like, who that person is. And
Right now, there's this guy called Bloom. He's up real hard out. He's one of the guys that's like capping me, like painting over me.
I remember there were styles too. Like, there was a thing where they would graffiti, because out west, I grew up out west, and back in the early 90s, there were a lot of gangs, like guys coming together and calling themselves a gang.
Yeah.
Not hideout gang like what we know now, with the,
Like
the
youth
bucket
gangs.
Yeah, youth gangs.
Yeah.
Like, and it'll be like a tag thing. They were tagging,
Yeah.
but then the style was like drawing a silhouette of everybody. That was the thing.
Oh, like that you do a silhouette of the person.
Of the group of people in that gang. Like, it might be 5 guys or 6 guys, and they'll just draw a silhouette of them. That was like everywhere.
It's cool.
Mm.
But I was talking about my friend Addict. He's a real influential graffiti artist in Auckland, and he was talking to me about how, like, people think of graffiti, like the people who don't know about art and that are doing graffiti, they think it's like this quite masculine thing, like doing graffiti. But it's like, when you really think about it, you're like, la la la, like painting on a wall. It's quite a like feminine thing, really. Like, this is
Painting on the wall.
yeah, you're painting. This is like a pastime of like what you would think of as a flamboyant or a woman, like not necessarily a tough guy going around painting. Like, it's quite an interesting change of, it's quite the fact that people are scared of artists. I just find that like mind blowing. Like, someone out there with a spray can painting on the wall, and people are like, oh my god, oh, like, it's like, when did that happen? That's never been the case.
I wonder if it's the same feeling as people when the oldies think about getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
putting a painting on the building is like the building getting a tattoo.
Yep.
So it's sort of like the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the psychology around it, like, they don't want to see tattoos in the workplace, cover up. They don't want to see a mural. And that building just got tattooed.
Yeah.
But it depends what the tattoo is. If it's like those, I don't know, like the spider web ones, those are the tags. If it's like a nice art, that's the mural.
That's
you know?
fine. Yeah. I'm real curious about that sort of stuff. Like, I look around, like, and see different ways of people tagging, and different, like, it's evolving. The art form's always evolving. There's people doing different sneaky ways of painting that don't get buffed. Like, there's a guy that does like little tiles, like you glue it on the wall, and they like stay up because the council like hasn't figured out, like, oh, that's graffiti too. Like, if I went and got a whole lot of white crosses and illegally put those up, would those stay up?
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
So
yeah.
I'm trying to think of where is that line, and wherever that line is, the artist is pushing that line. And if I need to push it to the point where it breaks, good, because that's what we need. Someone needs to break it.
I think I understand where you're coming from with the line, where you draw the line, because I don't know this woman. Rest in peace. But there's that woman that got killed when she was on her bike and going around Tamaki Drive.
Yeah.
And someone opened the door. And she smacked into the door. And I think someone opened the door, and she was on the outside.
Yeah.
So she swerved the door, but a truck hit her.
Yeah.
And she died. They put her bike on the corner there. I don't know if you see it. I think it's still there.
And they painted it white.
Painted it all white.
Yeah.
And they just left it there.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing, yeah. Like, is that...
So you can apply through Auckland Transport to do a memorial of your like white cross on the side of the road, but it doesn't have to be a white cross. It can be whatever. So that would have probably been done through that thing. I don't know if it's through Auckland Transport or Auckland Council, but I recently rang up to talk about it because I was like, how does it...
In art terms, that's a sculpture.
Yeah,
right.
But there's a legal process for getting
sculpture.
it done.
Right.
So I was thinking, what if when someone died, we just kept attaching more and more stuff onto the cross, and just like sort of like took over the whole street coming off it. Like, where would they draw the line and say, no, that's too much?
You should test them. And now.
So when I die, anyone can just come and paint on the spot where I die and just keep adding more stuff for the whole of Auckland.
Well, you can piss them off.
And where would they draw the line? Like, is there a legal like definition of how many meters it is from the cross, or like, can it just be forever? Like,
well, who's a famous Kiwi right now who's old? That's ready to cuck it.
Yeah, they can agree to be on the ticket,
and then just draw him.
I think they'd have to die in a public place, though, right? I don't think it works if you're.
I mean, I'm thinking about New York, how they have Biggie Smalls mural because he died, or a Tupac mural, on the wall because he died, that kind of thing.
That's a curious one. It's like if I go and paint a rest in peace mural for someone who died illegally on the side of like an abandoned building or somewhere, that'll get destroyed as well. It's like, oh,
what if it's Lynn Brown? He's not me anymore, or someone important.
I had this I have this art concept. There's some art concepts that you're not allowed to actually do. You just talk about them.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that like an unwritten rule?
No, like if you do them, you might get in trouble. So
right.
This one is it's an art exhibition where you get people's tombstone out of the graveyard, and you take it and you put it in the street as a sculpture. Like, I was trying to think of what would the rules be around how you would do that, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to take someone who's died, and they're lonely, so they're in the graveyard. No one comes to visit them. They're long dead. Maybe you'd say 100 years old. They died 100 years ago, so nobody is alive today that knew them. 100% sure. Nobody knows them. Anyone that says that they have an emotional connection to that grave is just projecting. They're astral projecting. It's not real. So get that grave, the tombstone, and then put it in the town centre in Henderson or something. So then it's like
everyone can see
they're having a day out in town. Like, it's like this like thought experiment of like, how would that make people feel? Is this art? Is this because I'm challenging established norms? I'm making people see something outside of its usual context. These are all the hallmarks of art. This is I thought it would be like real interesting. And I was like, what would you call this? What would you, tapu violation? But that's why I'm not allowed to do it. Because you'd get in so much trouble, dude. People would be fucking.
Well, what you're talking about getting in trouble, that's still a social construct, right?
And it is a social contract, absolutely.
And what you're doing is another social construct. It's just not popular.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah. Challenging.
Yeah. So
artists get really well received for doing this sort of stuff, but you've got to tread that line. You can't be too disrespectful. It's got to be done in a way where it's like interesting, but not just hurtful.
That's an interesting one, because what we're talking about, because lately I've been reading up and watching society when it comes to political correctness, right? Yeah. The whole diversity and the whole the cultural appropriation, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Pronouns, all that kind of stuff, and to hear the reasons behind all this comes from postmodernism, right? And what they say is that if all the rules we know it are social construct, then we can change it. And that's what they fall back on, right? See, 10 years ago, we didn't even have these sort of conversations. We never had these word-changing conversations where you can't say fat anymore, you can't say certain words anymore. 5 years ago, you could, you know what I mean? We didn't have these pronoun conversations anymore. It's changing society in the way, it's like it's overnight.
Yeah.
But the reason, when I looked into it, it's changing because they say the norm is a social construct, so we can change it. We can do whatever we want. We can now say that pronouns is a thing now. We can now say that, there's cancel culture now because it wasn't cancel culture before, but now it is.
Yeah.
You can't be racist. You can't. But every minority has rights now. It never used to be like this before. 5 years ago. Now it's changed because of that.
I wonder if one day the graffiti artist will be a minority that has rights, and will be like, you can't destroy my culture. You can't, like, your front fence is not your property anymore. It's public property. I'd love to see that paradigm shift.
No, exactly.
Where the front fence became, because you don't care what's on the side of your fence facing your neighbours. You don't care what's on the back facing that neighbour behind you. Nobody cares. So why do you care about the front? Why have we got this fetish of the front? And where it's ego projection. It's like, I've got my ego of my naked body, my ego of the clothes I'm wearing, the ego of the car I'm driving, the ego of the house I live in, and we got to extend that ego out onto your front fence too. Like, when can we wind that in? Can we sacrifice that and just say, hey, how about the roadway, those front fences on that roadway? We're saying this is a public good, and it can be maintained as a public asset. That's something I sort of think of.
I think there's a clash there. What you're saying, the clash is, okay, we don't care what's happened on the other side of the fence, so it's not in our periphery. We don't care, right? We can do whatever.
Yeah.
I think as humans, we don't want to be told what to do, and at the same time,
we want to own it.
We want to be entitled as well. We're entitled to things, and if that guy complained because I don't like this mural, take it off. He's been entitled that he can do that.
But then there's the landowner who owns the house and rents it out and does nothing to maintain the property at all, just leaves it as a dump, and the front fence has never been maintained at all, and he will take advantage of the tags being done on the fence and get that free graffiti removal because he knows it's like a free upgrade of his fence. Or there's like in town, you have like certain laneways, or like in poor socioeconomic areas, like in Otahu, for example. I was doing this work out there, and the buildings are just so badly maintained, man. It's like shocking. And why would anyone in their right mind who owns that building care if I came and did some beautiful artwork on it? But I'm not allowed to because of the rule doesn't make any space. So I try to think of it in terms of like when it was like full illegal to be homosexual, and how there was like this paradigm shift where it's like now it's socially accepted. We're saying sorry for the wrongs that were done to this group of people and how we misunderstood them and how we had like these bad rules. And maybe one day, the street artist will get the same sorry from the government, and we'll treat it as a civil rights issue, as a group of people who've been oppressed, and this sort of thing. I'm not sure if it will go down that road ever, but
I'm not. Yeah,
I'd like to see it treated that way.
I think that's what
like
they want.
One day.
I think that's what it's heading to. That any minority group, you can make a group. You can make any group and then become a minority group, and then you can fight for your right to be that minority group.
If I said it was a religion, maybe you'll get it.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, religions doesn't matter now. Now you can be transgender. Now you can be, I don't know, a midget. You can fight for your rights as a midget.
Yeah.
Because it's not about individuals anymore. It's about identity. Because that's the whole thing about identity politics. That's what's happening now. Like, if you're a minority group and it's about you being oppressed.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm very privileged. I'm white. I'm straight. I'm male. I've got all these. So that's why I was thinking with Auckland Council. I think I have like mental illness. I'm like real. I've like had these like, I'm not feeling okay, and I'm feeling like real like disgruntled and angry and stuff about the way I've been treated by the state and by the council and by these organizations, and I've reached out to them and I've legitimately tried to like engage with them. And I went to a psychiatrist today and was like diagnosed with it's called like irritable depression. So now I have an Auckland Council inflicted mental illness.
So you can use that against them?
Well, if I have to, I will use any angle I can, because that's how they. If I am not a minority, and I am not a special interest group, I will never get the attention that I need to on the subject. So if I have to, I didn't go and get that diagnosis like because I said anything. That's what I have apparently. So now that I have a diagnosis, if I can use that to help shine light on this problem and get it fixed, man, I'm going to. I don't care. Like, I have no shame about it or stigma or anything. It's like,
Because, the amount of money the government spend on mental health, that's the kind of stuff they want
it's
to avoid.
heartbreaking.
But see, this is the stuff they want to avoid, right?
Yeah.
And you're a perfect example, a case. Like, you've got the diagnosis.
Art should be making me happy.
That's like,
I shouldn't be
exactly.
getting a mental health issue because of me trying to get permission to paint a fucking wall.
No, exactly.
I should be happy from painting. It used to bring me so much joy to paint illegally, and now I've decided to not paint illegally, and I've got a fucking mental health problem because of it. That is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting that I have to get a mental health problem from trying to be an artist without painting illegally. That's disturbing, bro. I was like, what are they doing to people? We have a mental health crisis in this country, and we know that art is one of the solutions to it. That it lets people have an outlet. It provides beauty in your space, like your environment. Your environment's so important. Being able to like look around you and feel like the street you walk down is nice. You feel proud of your like community and your neighborhood.
But remember, you're talking to old people here. They don't understand.
It's not clean.
They do not understand. But it's interesting your predicament, because it's sort of like, to me, I'm thinking they're eating themselves up. They're eating their own up. Because if the government spends all this money on mental health, right, and their own local body has caused mental health on you, because you make a living on art, right, on street art,
Yeah.
and that's affecting it affects your livelihood. That's your thing, right? Yeah. And they talk about having the COVID lockdowns and giving, if you can't work, then we'll pay you to work.
Yep.
You have to work. This is your thing. This is how you make a living. This is how you put a roof over your head. This is how you put food on the table. And they're stopping you from doing that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. But there's positives. There's a lot of positives. The needle is moving. Like I say, this is the largest art movement in human history. We're seeing more art being brought to the masses than ever before. People never had this access, and it's not going to go away. The graffiti movement ain't stopping. It's just adapting to the environment that it's in. Yeah.
So you have a studio? You have a studio?
Yeah, I have a studio. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what does your day to day look like? Like, you do it full time? Yeah, what does that look like? You have your own hours, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean by I complain about the stuff because I know it's like it's for the culture it's bad, and for the artist community it's bad, because I know there's so many young artists who want to have a space to be able to create and they don't. But me, man, I don't have anything to complain about. I have a studio. I have excellent friends around me. I have paint, all the paint I could ever fucking need for the next like years. I have surfaces to paint on. I have clients. I have places to exhibit art. I have the skill set of knowing how to create good art and how to sell it. And that's all. Like, even if I was completely broke, I lost everything, I'd be able to rebuild from that. So I feel really lucky as far as that goes. But yeah, I just wish that I could. Maybe I should just If I ran for local board, man, I'd hate it. It wouldn't be fun. It would be so bad.
They'll suck you dry even more.
Yeah. So I have my like studio car, and I drive to spots and I go and paint some walls, and then do like stuff in the studio and go to friends' houses. I usually just give my art away. Like lots of my art I give away. I'm just real generous with it.
Have you ever done a gallery, exhibition?
Yeah, we do exhibitions and stuff like that. Not much, but my friend Gary, he runs this gallery out in Glen Innes, and it's called the Good, the Bad Gallery, but it's like OOA. It's like this. And I've got some stuff exhibited there. I don't really want to plug my art too much.
You can plug it.
Nah, it's like people will see it. I like doing stuff on the street. I just want to get permission to do people's walls. Like just fences, front road fences facing the main road. So that's the best way to get more work. Because if I go and paint someone's fence for free in a public main road somewhere, I'll get like 2 paid jobs out of that while I'm doing it. So every time I'm just out there in the public painting, I was trying door knocking for ages, and it was just like, nah, this doesn't work. Just paint the same wall over and over and over again, and every time you paint it, you get like 2 more jobs. Yeah.
You know, for you, what is the feeling painting on a wall rather than on the canvas in the studio? What's that feeling you get that's different? That tells you this is why I love doing what I do.
It's like there's the four different roles of everyone fulfills one of these 4 roles in human society. So you've got the audience, so the people who are like watching, they're consuming the culture, and then you've got the backstage. They're the people who are like helping to make the culture, but they're not like right up front. Then you've got the director, the person who's like running the show, like organizing, planning, telling other people what to do. And then you've got the star of the show, the person who's like on the stage doing the like star of the show stuff. I just think I like that part, like being the
star of the show,
being on the star of the show. I don't know, it's just funny, like being just the interactions you have. But as a street artist, honestly, man, like if you were to categorize a street artist as try to like compare it to another form of a person, the closest thing is it's like you're a fucking homeless person. Honestly, dude, you feel like a homeless person because you got the homeless person chair. You're like a vagrant. You're always moving around. You like have no specific place that's yours. You feel ownership for all the public space, like a homeless person, because they just inhabit everywhere.
Yeah.
Like when you're sitting on a park bench, you're sitting in a homeless person's living room. Like that's where you are. So that's like a street artist. I'm putting artwork inside the homeless person's house for them. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And you inhabit this interesting when you go and paint somewhere for like a week. That's another cool thing about it is the community. I get to go into some community and you meet the people who are like out in the street all the time. Like they'll just and if you're there for like 5 days, maybe the first or the second day they don't really talk to you, but they always start talking to you on like day 3. They're like, because you're starting to become part of the furniture. They're like, oh, you've been here for a while. And they come and have a chat, and they'll like buy you a coffee or like just have a nice talk.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's where you get the second opportunities. Like they'll like go, hey, come do my house, come paint my garage, or come over for a beer and just hang out. And just being able to, I just like that organic nature of it. It feels so like different to any other job I've had. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So, what on average does it take to paint a wall? Depends how big it is, but
depends how big it is. Depends on the detail level. Depends how much paint.
But you could be there a week.
Depends on if the subject matter of the painting is something I'm super familiar with,
Right.
or if it's not something I'm familiar with. Depends if they want a very specific style, like if they want it to be quite polished and to look like quite like realism usually, where I prefer to do like abstract, like real distorted cubist sort of imagery. That's what I prefer, like throwing paint around, being more like how does this feel rather than how does it look.
Yeah. When you do the private stuff,
So 2 to 100 hours, like
right,
all big range.
right. Yeah, that's about a week and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't painted much that's taken more than. I mean, I've painted a few that have painted take 150 hours, but not many. Yeah.
You know, when the private businesses come to you, do they sort of give you a brief on what they want, or do they just tell you to go nuts?
Usually, what happens is they give me a brief, and then I go and do the design, and then I'll send them the design, and then I never hear from them again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like my hit rate with commercial jobs is real bad, because my designs are shit. Like,
So do you go off the track of the brief? Is that what you do? Is that why they
no,
don't
but
bring you back?
I'm not good at drawing on paper. Like I can draw,
Yeah.
but I can't draw to the level. I can't do something on paper or on a small thing the same as a big wall.
Right.
I'm good at painting on a big wall because
Right.
that's what I spend most of my time doing.
Yeah.
So when they say, "Oh, I want a design of what you're going to paint on the wall," it's like, "Oh my god, no."
Even if you communicate to them, it's not. 'Cause I can't do it the same.
They can't. Their imagination can't see, so they see this drawing and they're just like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And then they go and hire someone else, and that person does a really cool drawing, but then the painting is like, what? Like, I would have done a way better job of the painting if you had.
Right.
So that happens sometimes, and it's like a bit annoying. There's lots of things like that it's just like, oh, that's a bit annoying. But all I can think of is there's a hole in my skill set that I need to plug. I need to improve that skill that I'm having an issue with. I need to get better at doing sampling. So I've really worked on it,
Right.
and it is improving, which is great. So I'm able to identify these sort of. I think that's good. That's like a lesson for anyone to learn with anything, right? Especially if you're running a small business, is what are the things that I'm doing that I'm struggling with and that are making me have to do more work, and how do I fix that problem? And if I improve that in that one area, like what are the 5 skills that I really need to have on point, and what's the weakest one, and work on that one and get it better, and then work on the next one and get it better. So then over time, like I can go from being like every 10 meetings, I get like 3 of the jobs. And then maybe now it's like, okay, every 10 meetings, I get 4 of the jobs.
I know what you're saying, because
Yeah.
I have the same problem.
Yeah.
Because I produce this podcast all by myself, and there's different jobs I need to do, and I can identify one job that I'm weak at, but I just don't have the time to. I always put it off. I always procrastinate it. I know what I gotta do. I know what I gotta do to make it better.
What's the one that you got to improve on?
Well, that's the time, because I need to speed up the process of post production, right? I know how to do it, but I just don't get into learning it.
Yeah.
I'm just still stuck with how I do it, which is probably which is longer. I know what I gotta do to make it shorter, but I need to learn it.
Is this gonna get edited, or is it just? Do we just put the whole?
And I'll put the whole thing in.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Chat.
Well, that's one way to make it faster. Because I remember when we started this podcast, like I think the first 50, I was editing hard out. But now I just give up. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you say got to work on those weak spots. Yeah. You have to improve. But like with street art and stuff, what have been your sort of inspirations? Like the people that you look up to. Because I know internationally there's that guy Banksy, who's like he's the most famous street artist in the world at the moment, eh? Because you've sort of Have you saw the transition from graffiti art to murals? That's your specialty now, eh? That's what you like. That's what you're passionate about doing now, eh? And you know, on your Instagram page, I can see because I saw a lot of those birds on your Instagram, so I know those are council jobs. So now I know I don't worry about those jobs. Those are just council jobs. But when you see works like
I enjoy doing them though. I do enjoy doing them. They're good.
yeah. But you know when you see a guy like Banksy do what he does around the world, man, you gotta it's amazing, eh?
Yeah, it's
stuff,
pretty
eh?
cool. Yeah, pretty cool.
Because this stuff is political without being political. Like it's real subtle, but it's political, eh? All of this stuff.
Yeah, there's lots more street artists than Banksy. There's so many. It's like when you really go down that rabbit hole, there's just like thousands and thousands and thousands of just super talented individuals who are just pumping out just crazy work.
You see, I wouldn't even know because I just know the famous guy.
I met this guy. I can't remember if it's. I think it's Vils, Vhils. I think, and he was doing. I met him in like 2012, and he was doing like this, using a jackhammer, like a handheld jackhammer to like drill into the wall and draw the face in the wall, and now he's doing like explosions on the wall to make his art. Like below, I'm pretty sure he's like. He must be like prepping the wall first with the mural, like drilling it in, and then he's like packing the wall with explosives, and then re-plastering the wall so it's just flat white, and then blowing it up again. So the video is like real sick of this wall blowing up. Yeah.
So that's one guy that you inspired.
Yeah.
Inspiration from.
One of my friends, Levi Hawken, he's like a...
he's the Nick Minute
skateboarder.
guy.
Yeah.
Nick Minute, yeah.
He's like he most people don't know this, but he's a graffiti artist. So he started doing graffiti like long before all that shit blew up.
Him and those two rappers. Those two old school rappers, I forgot their name.
Like from Auckland.
Yeah, those two white dudes.
Like Mike Pipes.
They were rapping. They're back in the early 90s or 80s, late 80s.
Like Louis Nux.
Nah, doesn't come to mind.
But yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does like concrete sculptures, which is pretty cool. And yeah, there's lots of guys. There's lots of guys doing cool stuff in Auckland. There's like Paul Walsh. He does the like chorus boxes all around.
All right. Yeah. So he's got that contract, the chorus contract.
I don't think he's got a contract. I think he's just like they just favoritism him and give him lots of them, which I mean, good on him. He's like got the contact right. And then there's too many names to name. There's just heaps of people super talented doing loads of cool murals and stuff around Auckland. And I'm sort of inspired by everyone in their own way. Even the people who I don't like their stuff, I can appreciate like that there's some pretty amazing genius going on behind what's being produced. Even like the cheesy stuff that's like, you know, what's that word? Sell out. I mean, if you have a patron, it's not really about you. It's you're creating something for the client. It's not. You've got to step outside and see like, you know, this is work that I'm creating for someone else. There's plenty of time to create the work that you want to create yourself as an artist, and being paid to create art is, you know, my ego used to be quite big about this, and I didn't like the idea of getting paid to create art. I just thought that was sort of dirty or something. I bet there's something dirty about it, but it's like, really, that's a bit silly. And it's sort of just jealousy, I guess, of someone else getting paid and trying to create a reason why they're bad for getting paid. And it's like, the only reason someone should be not okay with someone creating artwork for someone is if the entity that's paying for the work is evil. Then you're a sellout,
Right.
right? Like if you're like a vegan and you're making art for KFC, yeah, you're kind of selling out right there. Like this is, but otherwise it's like if the client is someone whose values align with your own and you can respect the work that you've created, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great.
Yeah. I believe there's artists out there. No matter what the artist can be music, can be paintings, can be anything you want. That's art worthy. So something that you create, like creatives, right? You create something for the rest of the world to enjoy. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you have a passion for that, I think as long as you can do what you feel, or as long as you can do what you want to do when it comes to your own art, your own truth, and people that appreciate it support you in a way where it puts food on the table, puts a roof over your head, then that's like that'll be the perfect world for you, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But not every job's going to be like that.
No.
Like some jobs is like, I would rather not be doing it this way.
So yeah, it's like people know your skills. They want to use your skills for their own reasons.
Exactly. Yeah. And the best clients to work with are those where you can sort of find out what they want and do it in a way that you can really feel like super proud of the work as well. Not feel like, oh, I'm just being like I don't really like this work. Like that's not a good way to do it. So I've really tried to walk that line of everything I do. I'm like, I really am proud of it and enjoy the process and want to be doing it, because at the end of the day, being an artist, it's fucking hard work. And if I'm not enjoying the most enjoyable part of it, what's the point? Like, there's no point. Like, I'd be better off just going and doing something else that pays way better and is like a real sellout thing than selling out on something I'm supposed to be enjoying.
Yeah. So what would you say the percentages of all your work you've done on walls in Auckland have been the perfect scenario for you? What percentage have been perfect? What percentages? Yeah. You know what I mean?
In totality, like of all the paintings I've ever done, as
the ones that you felt like you just described, that are
even some of
job.
the free ones, I'm like, it was like, even if it was free, I'm like, I didn't do what I would have really wanted to do because there was like constraints. But you usually find a way through that. So free ones, we won't count them. But all the commercial or paid jobs, man, not much. Like, not much where I not happy with. Maybe like 5 in total. I think if I was to sit down and really write down like how much money have I actually made off art, I don't even want to say the number. I'm not going to say the number. But I've been employed as an artist for Wana, so it's, man, COVID's been.
Yeah, how was that?
COVID's been wild, dude.
How wild was that?
I feel like I sort of lost 3 years of my life. So
Really?
Just like.
It's like there's no work at all, just dried up.
No, not the work. Just the time has it's like time dilation.
Yeah. Because I'd imagine that if lockdown, you're outside by yourself, no one around, just do your work, right? The perfect time to do your work.
I just used it as an excuse to not go. I sort of turned into a bit of a hermit, eh?
So the restrictions affected your work? Did it dry up during the lockdowns?
It wasn't so much the restrictions; it was more of the if you're running a business and you have less people buying stuff off you,
you're not going to pay for?
The first thing you're not going to be buying is art. Like, so that was kind of the effect on me. But I think, honestly, it's all just, if you go out there and create the opportunities are there. You just have to be persistent and and there's always going to be struggles and difficulties and the government and whatever. There's always going to be problems, but if you just go out there and persistently find the opportunities, they're there. People want to engage and stuff. Yeah.
You know, when you're doing your artwork, does the idea come to you that day, or you have the idea before and you want to express it?
That's a good question. So the design, like not design, but the creative process of coming up with how you're going to lay something out and what you're going to paint and what colors you're going to use and what style you're going to do it in, all these things, that's actually like at least 50% of the work. Like, if you do a good job on that part, painting it should be pretty easy. Right. But if you don't do that stuff and then you just start painting on the wall, that can really affect the outcome. You can get a real pile, like a bad painting. But some people are super talented and can just seem to spit out good art no matter what. I'm not one of them. I have to really work to create good art. I get lucky sometimes, but yeah, it's
So that 50%, does it take, how long does that take for you? The prep.
This is where painting the same image over and over again as a street artist comes in handy, is because you want to be doing the same thing over and over again, because then you can get good at doing that thing. So you'll see the best artists repeat the same image over and over again. That's why many of these bird artists, they're doing the same. It's the same general sort of mural. It's like the same layout or the same, you know what I mean? Like the composition of the work is relatively the same. Like the background, yeah, it's hard to explain. But
if it's modular, then you know exactly how it's going to work.
That's a really good word for it. Modular. Yeah. So it's like you do this, that. It's like a process, and then you can just repeat. Whereas I think in the street, I sort of do both. I probably shouldn't. I should probably focus more on doing the stuff in the street as modular as possible, because then it's quicker. But because I have permission to do everything I do, I get to sort of play around a bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're an illegal artist, it's way more like you'll produce way better work illegally if you just do everything as modular as possible. Repeat. And then if you're going to play around, do that at home when you have time, because you don't have time to play around if you're doing it illegally. You got to just quickly smash it up.
I saw I remember seeing a piece of street art on the side of the building on Kerry Road opposite Cantina. There's that building where the old tavern used to be, and it goes down. The street goes down from Kerry Road, and on the left hand side against the building, there's a painting of a police officer. Is that you?
No. Where was this?
It's on Kerry Road. You know where the Cantina is? The Cantina restaurant? You know where the bridge is on Kerry Road? The bridge.
Yeah, I know the bridge. Yeah.
And then if you go at the end of the bridge, going towards town if you're coming towards town on the left hand side of the bridge, the first building is a bar, the old tavern. I think now it's Backpackers now.
Yeah.
On the side of that building, there's a piece of artwork on the side going down that street that goes down.
Do you know what road it is?
No, don't know. But do you know what I mean? It's the first building at the end of the bridge.
I've got a wall around there, but I don't think it's the same one. It's not a cop, so it's definitely not it. Where is it?
It's Is that the bridge? It's K Road Bridge.
This is K Road here.
That building on the side.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know. I'll check it out though.
But there's a lot of I saw you work on the rose bins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got in trouble in K Road. I did a. You've Googled my name, right?
Yeah.
There's I've done quite a few news stories on different things, and one of them was about this heritage building in town. I painted the side of it and got a bit of trouble for that.
Mm.
That was actually what initially soured the relationship between me and the council.
Right. Because I love the heritage buildings.
Yeah.
You can't do anything into those.
Because I kind of I got permission to do it from the tenant who was leasing the building, and she was fine with it. And then, but she didn't really
No.
She didn't really check it out properly. She
Yeah.
didn't. I think she'd just got fucking cancer, man. So she was. I don't think she really cared at that point. She was just go. So I just painted the whole building, and then 3 stories up, and then the landlord found out, and the building owner found out, and the property manager found out, and then next thing I'm on the 6 o'clock news and in front of this building.
How long ago was that?
3-4 years ago.
Oh.
And the council didn't like it that there's a dude that works for the council. He's the graffiti prevention advisor or some shit.
Is he old?
He's fossil.
Yeah.
His name's Tony Crampton. And I mean, they're all the same really. They all just have a sort of really twisted view of what a graffiti artist is and what our intentions are, and all these negative assumptions about what this whole thing's about. And he just saw me on the news sort of laughing about the fact that I'd gone and painted a heritage building. And I think I said something we shouldn't be sacrificing the heritage of our existing culture, our people alive now, for some white wall of a bygone era. As far as I'm concerned, that building that I painted, that heritage building, it's just a coat of paint, man. I have not affected the building at all. The heritage building will still exist. Doesn't matter. It still. If you see the building right now, you would never know that I had painted the mural on it. So who cares?
Well, it's like all the buildings down K Road. From the corner of K Road where art spaces.
Yeah.
Go all the way down to Queen Street. All those buildings are original buildings.
Yeah.
If you look at the old black and white photos, you can just tell. You see them. They don't even look like what you see on K Road, but they are the same buildings.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just painted.
Yeah.
And got shit all over them.
Yeah.
Unless you look up close and see the window frames and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have those black and white photos with you,
they're fine chucking billboards all over them and flashy signs and all this, but some graffiti, ooh, yeah.
So, man, what's any big jobs coming up for you, for the council or for private?
At the moment, this is a plug, man. I don't want to do this.
Plug it, man. Plug it.
I'm just doing the schools at the moment. I'm doing teaching with students.
Yeah, what's that sort of industry like? Because it makes sense. Primary schools.
Yeah.
They need a lot of color.
Yeah. I'm teaching little kids how to paint. It's so cool, man.
Yes, the teaching, but the walls too in the schools.
Yeah, we're gonna paint murals in the school with the students.
But not just one school. It has to be a lot of schools.
I hope I get more, but the one I'm doing it with, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Little kids, they're 5 years old.
Yeah. But you teaching the kids, that's something. That's good.
Yeah.
See, you got stuff to enjoy.
Yeah.
Teaching kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I do it every Friday. So every Friday at the moment.
Oh, that's nice.
That's my buzz till the end of the year, I think. And then...
See, what's up with the school thing? Because it makes sense to me. I didn't even figure of it now. I just thought of it when you just said. But that is an obvious place where murals should be.
Yeah.
If you're into painting kids stuff. kids things.
Yeah.
You're not gonna paint like a werewolf or something, or maybe like a political thing in the school. But but it is there's walls there to be painted.
Yeah.
They're asking for it.
Yeah. It's the salesman sort of thing, right? You got to be able to get in there and get past your gatekeepers and get to the right person and then sell them the project and get them to agree to pay for a product. And that's 50% of being an artist, is having that skill set. And I'm not the best at it, but I'm good enough that I can get in there and consistently get work. So yeah, and I think over time, the more you work, the more you get into a community, the more you build a network, you get more people who want to work with you. They can see your track record, they know that you've worked with someone else, and then they can trust that you're going to do a good job for them, and then you get more work done, so you get better at what you do, and then it's all just uphill from there. I think you sort of get momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just real chill. I'm pretty picky. Like I used to do every job that got offered to me, but now I'm like, oh, I just do the ones that I actually want, because if I'm doing all of them, I'd rather focus on doing the few that I want to do really well, and even if that means I'm not making much money, it's not as stressful. And yeah, I'm sure eventually I'll have to change that attitude, but for now it's like I'm just enjoying the
I think that's a good
lifestyle.
position to be in if you can choose what you can do, choose your jobs. If you're in that position, what I think you are. So that's good.
I'm not financially.
Right.
Like if I was making the correct financial decision, I would take every single job offered to me. But I just think long term, I would rather get really good at doing these jobs that I want to be doing than filling my time doing all these jobs I don't want to do. Because if you do the jobs you don't want to do, guess what? You're going to get more of those jobs. And then if I'm doing jobs I don't want to do, I might as well like quit this job and do something else, because it's not easy. It's hard. Yeah. So that's my sort of ethos I've sort of been developing, is focusing on having good mental health first.
Yeah.
Because
It's funny dynamic, because when you say that, like, you don't want to do the work. If all the work out there is the work you don't want to do, it's someone behind the trend is behind it, and behind the trend is someone.
Yeah.
And the power is with the council, with the business association, or whoever, right? Because these guys that earn these walls, right? So yeah, it's a hard one, eh? When it comes to art, you want to do what you want to do, but you're not the one that owns the wall. The one's going to pay you. So.
And if someone asks you to do a job, or if someone asks me to do a job, and I know that what they're telling me to do is bad, and it's not going to look good, I can't display the work in my portfolio. I'm not going to get any more work from the job. No follow-on work.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's almost like you have to know who the client is first, before you say, "Here I am."
Sometimes you'll have someone who's like real pushy, and they want you to do it a certain way, and it's like, that's actually bad. Like, that's not going to look good, bro. Like, you got to trust me. Like, and then they get someone else to do it, and it's like, see, I told you. It's like,
how'd you end up with your name, the artist name?
Ares Artifex. It's
Ares Artifex.
So Ares is the Greek god of war for Mars. So that's like Mars, and then Artifex is like artifacts. So Mars artifacts. So like precious objects from Mars.
You're a big fan of Mars, eh?
Yeah. That's where the whole like Mars obelisk, the Mars obelisk thing. I was thinking of changing my name to that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, they had all these they had all these movies in a row about Mars. The Martian, and Martian with what's his name?
Yeah.
Born Identity guy.
I'm pretty sure the first mission to Mars will be called Ares, so that name's gonna be like maybe a bit famous in the future, but not yet. It'll be like Apollo, you know, the Apollo program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like that, I reckon.
Do you believe they went to the moon?
Huh?
Or do you believe they actually went to the moon? Or
Certain.
or was it that Stanley Kubrick directed
Nah, that's a.
in the warehouse?
It would have been harder to fake it than it would have been to just do it for real. Like the cameras were so bad back in those days, and the whole like production, everything. Whereas, yeah,
Because I tell you, I never
I've
thought
seen
of it.
those things. Though. I've seen those like conspiracy videos.
I never thought of it until those conspiracy videos first came out. And the thing that got me was, why didn't we go back? Why didn't we go back?
That's a really good question. Why didn't we go back?
Why aren't we going back?
Because the Americans won the Cold War. The space station. They cooperate now. They're all friends. The Soviets and the Americans, they're working together. The whole prestige thing of we beat you, that part went away. The whole impetus of the space race was the Cold War. That's why they were doing it. It was to be like, we're better than you. Capitalism is better than communism. That was why they were competing to get to the moon. And then the Americans won, and the Soviet Union, they started working together on the space station, and then the Soviet Union collapsed, and then it's like, okay, we
Don't need to go. Don't need to go.
Well, it's also like they realized that by going, they realized how expensive it was to get there, and it was kind of like, how do you explain it? It's like until the technology is at the point where it's cheap enough to actually go and go cheaply, it's not worth going back. Like, it's better to wait until we've got the technology to a point where we can like go for quite cheap and keep going back over and over again and then start going all the time, rather than going with the stupidly expensive, like that Saturn thing. That's like the cost of going is like out of this world, like astronomical.
What's that? That's Saturn.
The Saturn V rocket, the one that they went to the moon with. Yeah, they've only been to low Earth orbit since, like just like this far off the Earth.
And that's where that space station is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Musk's trying to get to Mars. Is he still doing that or not? He's given up.
No, that's the goal. They're working on the Super Heavy right now. You know what that is?
No.
So the Super Heavy, it's Starship. Yeah. So Starship is the design of the Starship is it's going to be the first fully reusable spacecraft ever designed ever. So it's like every spaceship that they launch, every rocket that they launch to space, you throw away the booster, right?
Yeah.
So you get like your little ship into orbit, and then the booster, like the big 747 piece, that falls into the ocean and is destroyed.
Yeah.
So your $500 million rocket gets, or 100 million is more like what these things cost. Maybe 500 million, depends. But that rocket is destroyed, and you have to build a whole new one every time you go. So the Starship is going to be like, let's have a fully reusable system where you can fly like multiple times in one day, and all you have to pay for is the fuel.
Right.
So that will enable us to. The math on this is actually like totally crazy. So one Starship will be able to, in its service life, launch. So one Starship, I think it's in 1 year, one Starship launching like 1 day per year, doing one launch per day per year, will be able to launch more stuff into space than every single launch of every single rocket ever launched in the entire human history. And this is one rocket doing all of that. So once they've built a fleet of like 100 of them or 1,000 of them, we'll be able to increase the amount of stuff we put in space by like an order of magnitude, like hundreds times more stuff in like a couple of years. So if you project forward to once we have this, once they design it and it's working properly, it'll be like 10 years and we'll have like massive orbital space stations. There'll be a base on the moon. They'll be starting to build a city on Mars.
It's the materials, getting the materials up there to enable them to build.
Each ship can carry 100 tons. So it's just cargo. Like they'll just be putting stuff into space. People, they'll be using these things for transport on Earth too. It won't be just in space. You'll be using this to go from Earth to Earth. So you'll go from New Zealand to London in 1 hour. This is crazy. This is like changing. This will change the whole way we do international travel. You won't have to sit for 24 hours to get to the other side of the world. You can just go straight away.
Because I saw they were trying to do the train thing, the bullet train all under the sea, so you can go quickly to different countries.
The Hyperloop.
That's the last time I heard about traveling to different countries in this amount of time.
The Hyperloop's good for like cities that are like 1 or 2 hours away from each other, where like because when you take a plane, it's like most of the flight or the parts of the flight that take the longest is takeoff, getting up to altitude, and then slowing back down again and coming back down and landing. So flights where you have a really like you just go up and then straight back down, those flights are real inefficient. The better flights are the ones where you go up and then you fly for a long time and then you land. So anything where it's over 3 hour long flight, these are good flights. This is where you keep it as a plane. But if it's like a 2 hour flight, you're actually way better off using that Hyperloop or like a bullet train. So this is where we'll hopefully get this technology up and running in the next like decade, where all the cities that are real close together, like Auckland to Hamilton, or like Brisbane to Gold Coast, or maybe even Melbourne to Sydney, you could connect that with a bullet train. But yeah, anywhere where there's two cities that are real close together, like San Francisco to LA, this is where they'll use that Hyperloop. And that'll change things too. It'll turn like a 2 hour commute into like a 10-minute, 20-minute. Like,
I gotta keeping up to date with what's going on. I've lost track of all that stuff. The past few months.
There's a really good Elon Musk video to watch. It's like the latest TED Talk. It's on the TED Talk website or whatever. I think it's on YouTube. So TED Talk YouTube. It's like 1 hour. It's him in the factory talking about everything. Man, he's like the Thomas Edison of our generation sort of thing. So that's why, I mean, some people hate on him and it's like, whatever, like you know, it's just, he's just that person of our generation. It's like, you can't change it by not liking him.
He's 50-50 for me. He says some good stuff and then says some dumb stuff.
Yeah, but the technology he's inventing will change our way of life forever. Like the electric cars, the Neuralink thing that'll go in your brain and make you be able to talk to your computer, space travel, some other stuff. There's like the underground tunnels and shit like that.
You don't have any concerns of all that, especially the brain stuff, the neuro chip. We've heard all the conspiracy theories these days. Everybody's worried about control and all that.
Well, I haven't read like enough about this to be like an expert or anything, but you've got your flight or flight instincts in your brain, like your I think they call it your reptilian brain, which is real primitive.
Yeah.
And then you've got your mammalian brain, which is a bit more advanced, and this is the same thing that like a monkey has. And then humans have like the outer layer of the brain, like the grey matter, which allows you to basically think ahead and think of tomorrow and come up with like plans and calculate things and really be like scheming and cunning and all these amazing things that makes us be able to be humans. And your phone is already you're already a cyborg.
Yeah, we're just holding it
you're just holding it, and it's just a terrible data transfer rate. Like you have to like this is not efficient. Very inefficient. What is it? We went backwards. We used to type like this, and now we're like dunk dunk dunk. It's like we've actually gone worse.
Well, the secret is convenience, right? We're constantly trying to change. We're constantly trying to push technology to make things more convenient, and the next step with the phone is in the brain. So it makes sense, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just trying to transition the safety part of it, but we'll see.
There's actually there's a cool art correlation with AI, which is something I'm going to be trying to use to plug one of my holes, which is the thing where I struggle to make samples,
right?
And I'm going to try and use the AI to like help make my samples better, because I think I can do that. So I'm gonna do some experiments with that, and hopefully I can make something interesting. I'll actually show you one. So,
well, you do have a portfolio though, don't you? You can show them. Do they get an idea of what you can do for your portfolio? And then they can say, oh yeah, just go nuts.
Like you can tell the AI what you want it to make, and it'll make the picture for you. Or you can feed it something, and it'll spit out like iterations of it. So I gave it that image, and I said, show me some variations of this, and it like gave me these.
Oh shit! You're using the same technology, eh? That I've seen that before. That because the concern was AI. The article was AI can now be artists, and can create something.
Oh, look at this! This is Auckland. I'm trying to come up with like, this is like Auckland being blown up. That's awesome. Like there's lava coming off the Harbour Bridge. So I was gonna make like an art exhibition of like the apocalypse.
And throw some zombies in there as well.
Cool way. That's so cool way.
I think I saw a paint. You did a painting there of fire.
Yeah,
in front
of
of the Sky Tower.
The Sky Tower burning.
Because that actually happened there. I thought it was you did it because of that fire outside.
Yeah, there was the fire in the Sky Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the convention center. Yeah.
Sweet, man. Look, we just did 3 hours.
Is that 3 hours? Damn.
Does it feel like it?
Yeah.
Man, you know what?
No, it didn't. It went quick. It went real quick.
Yeah, it gets like that, eh? But nah, man. Hey, Jesse, man, thanks for coming in, man. Having a chat with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
yeah, good
talking
to
about
meet you, bro.
No, it was good
Sure.
to talk about what you do, because you must be the only artist that gets news time. The only artist in Auckland that gets news time. So it's good to get you in. And because when I looked you up on Google, man, you got like a few articles, man. You got a few, I think News Hub done a couple articles on you.
15 or 20 different news stories in the last few years.
Oh, hell yeah. You know? And it's just you causing shit, causing trouble, causing havoc around the city.
Yeah.
And it's good, man.
It's a little bit of an angle. But if that's how I need to go about it, I think of that generating that news stories is another form of art. Like it's if I can use that platform to bring attention to the topics that I'm trying to put pressure on, then that's a win for everyone.
Oh, it is a win. Because look, we brought you here to this podcast.
Yeah, bro, hard.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good to see that you did that, use the platform, and it's good to hear your story. And man, especially like the thing about what you did with the 3D war, with the tagging. That's cool. That's really cool, man. That's really awesome.
Yeah. I should really come to your. I'll come check out your new pad, and I'll give you some art to put in the studio if you want.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, cool.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Jesse. Have a good week, and
let's wrap it up.
And we'll wrap it up. But yeah, man, you're welcome to come back. I'll probably it'd be cool if you come back. Maybe after a few months, and we'll have a catch up.
Hard. Sweet.
Thanks, brother.
See you around.